back into the forecast.
A good heads up. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you all for being here with us. Stick around. Portia's got a great show for you coming up right now. See you tomorrow, same time, same place.
And here we go at 1 o'clock on this Thursday. I'm Tyler Fingert. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live. We have a lot to get to this afternoon. Let's get straight to the headlines that we are following right now at 1 o'clock. So I want to talk about this. A shooting on a MARTA bus sent a man and a woman to the hospital. It happened late last night on a MARTA bus 5 as it traveled north on Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. So the bullet here went through a man's left forearm and then hit a woman in the right knee. Investigators think the injured man accidentally fired the gun. She stayed on the bus, but the injured suspected shooter ran off, and police followed a blood trail, finding him behind a nearby church. Paramedics took both the man and woman to North Fulton Medical Center with non-life-threatening injuries. Detectives say he will be charged with reckless conduct and aggravated assault when he is released. Let's take you to Atlanta now. There was a shooting that happened yesterday afternoon that left 4 men injured after an argument at a business ended in gunfire. Atlanta police say gunfire erupted inside and outside a food mart on the 600 block of Joseph E. Lowery Boulevard around 4 p.m. yesterday. Officers on scene found 2 men who had been shot, and then 2 other men who were also shot drove themselves to the hospital, and we're told all 4 men are in stable condition. Atlanta police are now urging everyone to be calm, especially when dealing with conflict, as they continue working to identify the shooter in this case. We have a lot to get to this afternoon. We have a lot of stories we're working on right now in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. I want to check in with our managing editor, Cal Calloway, who is standing by at our assignment desk. Cal, we have a number of reporters scattered throughout our area. What are people working on, and what can people expect from us this afternoon?
Tyler, good afternoon. First, we'll start in East Point, where the police department there, along with Greater Atlanta Crime Stoppers, have stepped up their urgent call for the public to step forward to help solve a murder. Now, let's go over the circumstances of the case. This happened on January 9th. It's a case that we have publicized where police got a call of a shooting at the Gus Thornhill Funeral Home. When they arrived, they found the woman whose picture you're seeing right now, Ina Chambers, with gunshot wounds. Miss Chambers died at that scene. Now, the circumstances that police have shared with us so far is that Miss Chambers was at the funeral home with her daughter to attend a viewing for a family member. That's when a group came to the funeral home and started firing gunshots, striking and killing Miss Chambers. Police believe there are people who witnessed this incident and have information about what happened. They have increased the reward to $5,000 for information leading to an arrest and conviction in that case. Fox 5's Eric Perry today talked with East Point Police about the latest on their investigation. We'll hear from him this afternoon. Active case in Stockbridge of a shooting that happened yesterday afternoon, a double shooting. You're seeing a map of where that took place on Lakeview Place in Stockbridge. Police received a shots fired call. When they got there, they found a 14-year-old male dead from gunshot wounds. There was a 12-year-old girl there also. She was rushed to the hospital. We're not sure of her condition right now. Fox 5's Tara Jabor is on that story. I'll bring us the latest on that investigation this afternoon. And in Butts County, the sheriff is speaking out after a bust on I-75. This happened a couple of days ago when deputies pulled over a vehicle. They found a large amount of prison contraband. You're seeing some pictures of some of what they found. It includes a large drone, ounces of illegal drugs, marijuana, cigarette tobacco, and play stations that are, they believe, were being taken illegally to the Ware State Prison. That's where the sheriff says criminal gangs control the flow of illegal contraband. And because of this case, Sheriff Long says it's time for both elected officials and candidates who are seeking elected office to take a hard look at Georgia's prison system and deal with some of the issues that the prisons are having to deal with. That includes small staffing, it includes illegal contraband, and includes gangs who control some of those prisons. Fox 5's Doug Evans has spoken to Sheriff Long about that today. And again, we'll hear those stories tonight on Fox 5 News at 4, 5, and 6. Tyler?
Yeah, we're working on a lot of stories, a lot of things people are going to be interested in, and a good variety. Cal, thanks so much for the update on the stories that we're working on this afternoon. I do appreciate it. And let's see if we could take a live look outside. You were looking at the Atlanta skyline right there. Certainly a lot of cloud cover out there, but you can see a little bit of the blue sky peeking through. Let's get a check of the forecast with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Lauren Robinson. So glad you joined us this afternoon. We're almost to the weekend, and I think it's your favorite time of the week. We always get to talk about the what is it, the drought monitor.
Yeah.
Every Thursday, you always like, it's my favorite day.
I know, and I really haven't been looking at the drought monitor too much today, which because you're completely right. I always get excited about it's like a little surprise, like, yay, did we do well, or oh.
We've definitely been getting a lot
drought.
of rain. We've definitely been getting a lot of rain though over the last 2 weeks or so. So hopefully there's at least some progress, and not, or at least staying the same and not getting worse like we were seeing a month and a half ago. It was like terrible across our entire state. But let's talk about the temperatures right now.
Yeah. Earlier this year it was terrible, and we had so much improvement, and then we've kind of stalled out a little bit. But let's go ahead and take a look at those temperatures. As you mentioned, most of North Georgia in the middle to upper 80s, 86 degrees in downtown Atlanta. Same goes for in Covington and down in LaGrange. We're still seeing those winds coming in from the southwest, and what that means for us is we're still seeing that Gulf moisture push into the area. Now, that has nothing to do with Bertha. It's just the winds bringing in all of the warmth and humidity in from the Gulf, and that's what continues to increase our humidity, that mugginess out there, and our heat indices. So it feels like the 90s across most of North Georgia. It feels like temperature in downtown Atlanta is 91, feels like 95 in Covington. Port Eatonton, it feels like 99 degrees there. It's been very hot all morning, extremely muggy in that area as well. So as you're planning out the rest of your Thursday, we do have a chance for a shower or a pop-up storm through the rest of the afternoon into this evening. Now, that doesn't mean we're looking for a complete washout, so I don't want all of these thunderstorm icons to fool you to think it's going to rain continuously from 2 to 10. That's not the case by any means. Some areas could even manage to stay dry, but these are the areas where you do have a chance for a pop-up shower, maybe an isolated storm. Afternoon temperatures in the middle to upper 80s, low 90s in some spaces. Now, we take a look at our live Viper radar, and there's Bertha chugging its way through Houston, bringing a lot of showers across the coast of Texas there, but that's not going to influence us too much. What we're really looking for is this stalled front across North Georgia. If you were watching yesterday, we had the same front in the same location. It's going to roughly stay across the same area through the day tomorrow and finally start to lift out over the weekend. But what that means is we're going to see continued patterns of the same weather. It's going to stay pretty cloudy, it's going to stay hot and humid, and we're going to see those on and off shower chances. So an indicator of where that frontal boundary has been stalled out is really north of Georgia through Chattanooga and into North Carolina there. That's because we've seen a line of continuous showers and storms in that same area. So that's usually a good indicator of where the stalled front is. Also, we're still seeing those winds come in from the south, which means we're still on the southern portion of that boundary. So really what that means is we've managed to stay dry so far, but we are still expecting a few light showers, maybe a few isolated storms. It's also going to stay hot and humid as long as we're south of that boundary. We'll continue to monitor that boundary. We'll take a look. We go through the day today, and it should dip its way southward a bit, meaning those showers and storms that are near Chattanooga should fall southward into North Georgia. Then as we go through the day tomorrow, we continue to see more showers and storms, but we will be on the cooler side of that front. We're going to switch to turn around, and we're going to be on the north side of that front, which means temperatures drop a little bit. And then as we move into our Saturday, that front lifts northward again. We're on the hot side of it again, and then we start to warm up going into our Sunday. So due to where that frontal boundary has stalled out, that's where we're going to see the the continuous rainfall, the heavier rain showers. So we have flood watches in place until tomorrow evening for these counties in green, mostly north and northwest of downtown Atlanta. As far as our temperatures are concerned, we're going to see them drop a little bit as that front moves south of us. We're going to be on the cooler side of the front, so those highs drop into the middle 80s, but we rebound as we move into the second half of our weekend. We're back in the 90s for our start of our next work week. So really what we'll be watching for in the next couple of days will be those hit or miss showers. Today, I think any sort of shower stays brief, stays pretty light, but tomorrow I think that's where we could see the heavier rainfall tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening.
And truly, I feel like it's been a long time since we've seen a 7-day forecast that has a few days without any chance of rain, at least listed for now. Obviously, things can change, but I mean, I like that. Look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, not even a chance of rain that you are predicting as of now.
Yeah, I would say keep an eye out for that to change possibly, but just because in the summertime you could see maybe a pop-up brief shower. Right now it's not enough to maybe make it to 20%. Maybe it's like a 10% kind of thing. And but still something to keep an eye out for over the next few days, just because we will still have that heat and humidity, and that could produce maybe a pop-up couple of raindrops, but nothing too extravagant is what we're looking for sure.
Yeah, we know with the summertime pattern, we always can see, just like in Florida where I grew up, you can always see those afternoon thunderstorms come through, and then as quick as they came, they're gone, depending where you are. Lauren, thanks so much for the update. I do appreciate it. Let's talk about this to see if Lady Luck is on your side. So we know that there are 2 massive jackpots for lotteries that are up for grabs this week, a combined total of $1.3 billion. You heard that, $1.3 billion. The Mega Millions is at $743 million, and the Powerball is not too far behind at $600 million. The odds of winning either of these jackpots is about 1 in 290 million, and according to data from the National Weather Service, you're about 19,000 times more likely to get struck by lightning in your lifetime. But that's not stopping some folks here from testing their luck and obviously dreaming big. Take a listen.
So much about the odds as it is the chase and the enjoyment, the adrenaline of just the possibility.
$1 million and $2 million will be all right with me if I can just get some of it.
People like to buy them closer to the evening when the draw is actually happening. I think as the day goes on, more people will buy them.
Gotcha.
They have superstitions on what times they like to play at the last minute.
And of course, everyone wants to be able to have that chance to get some big bucks. The last Mega Millions jackpot winner cashed out a $60 million grand prize, and that was back in March. The previous Powerball jackpot winner snagged $1.8 billion last Christmas Eve. I remember that. I think I was actually at one of those places where people were buying lottery tickets, and it was just pandemonium there as everyone looked for that chance at $1 billion. And as for the luckiest states, well, New York is leading with 44 Mega Millions wins, followed by California with 39 and New Jersey with 26. For Powerball, Indiana reported 39 jackpot wins, Missouri with 32, and Minnesota with 22 wins. And we were talking during our 11 o'clock newscast that Georgia is not one of those states that unfortunately does very well, but all you need is the 5 numbers plus that lucky either Mega Millions number or that Powerball number to be able to get the chance to be able to win. So things can always change. The next Mega Millions drawing is Friday night, and the next Powerball drawing is Saturday. As we come back into our newsroom, the time now 1:13 on this Thursday afternoon. Still ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We're going to be talking about Atlanta's culinary scene. It'll be on full display next week in Buckhead as we talk about Restaurant Week. We're back in just 2 minutes. welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Thursday afternoon. The time now 1:15. We're so glad you're here. Super excited to talk about this next story. So Buckhead is getting ready to serve up one of its biggest dining events of the year. Obviously, it's a good time to talk about it. It's lunchtime right now. So Buckhead Restaurant Week kicks off on Monday, and it's giving diners a chance to enjoy special menus and unique experiences at dozens of restaurants in the Buckhead area. Joining us now is Miguel Nieves with Buckhead Restaurant Week to tell us what people can expect. Miguel, thanks so much for being here this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to tell everyone all the amazing things that Buckhead Restaurant Week has to offer this year.
Yeah, so let's start here. Let's talk about it. Why is a restaurant week such an important thing? A lot of different cities do this. A lot of different neighborhoods do this. Why is this something that's so important to have for local restaurants?
I think it's really important because it gives awareness to restaurants, especially restaurants that have just recently been built in the district. So it allows people to really get connected. Buckhead has become very walkable the past few years, so it really allows restaurants to bring some good engagement, some good marketing capabilities, and to really get new people that have just recently moved to Atlanta to explore all these world-renowned fine dining options.
Yeah, and as I was getting ready for this conversation with you just about an hour ago, I was looking through the Restaurant Week website and kind of looking through the restaurants. And I go to Buckhead every so often, just from where I live. And there were a number of restaurants I didn't know existed. And so it's kind of a chance for people to really try something new and be able to help restaurants find new clientele. And also people can get like a good value out of this as well, right?
Absolutely. A lot of these menus, these prefix menus that we're offering during this week, they have special discounts, a lot of the chef pairings that they don't always offer during the week. So it's a good week to really experience some amazing restaurants. The good thing about Buckhead is we have a very diverse range of restaurants. So we have casual, fine dining, good lunch options. So it really gives you the ability to kind of plan out your date night throughout the week.
Thankfully, I ate my lunch before I came on here. Look at some of the pictures. I can see the taco platter that we were just showing and some of the other food options, some of the drink options as well. And they look fantastic. And so I think it's like 45 restaurants are participating. So it is a good variety based off what I was looking on the website, right?
Yes, a very good range of restaurants. And again, some restaurants offer lunch, some offer dinner options. So it's a good way if you're working in Buckhead and you want to do a lunch with your coworkers, you want to do a date night or a happy hour, you have a large range of restaurants to choose from.
So you mentioned lunch. I know in some places it's usually like a dinner option. Is this something that's pretty much throughout the entire week next week and you can go lunch or dinner type of situation, or does it just depend by the restaurant?
It really depends on the restaurant, and you'll find all this information on buckheadrestaurantweek.com. So a lot of those restaurants already put up their menus, so you can kind of plan out which restaurants offer lunch, which offer dinner options, and kind of plan out your schedule that way.
And so price point wise, you said there's a good variety. What does that mean, and what can someone expect if they plan to go out to one of these restaurants next week? I mean, obviously I saw there was a Capitol Grill on there. That's obviously a little more expensive than maybe another option. So what would be your range of the different types of restaurants and the price points for it?
Yes, so you can definitely, since we have 45 restaurants participating, we've been able to kind of select and curate restaurants on different ranges of prices. So we have restaurants that won't going to kind of break your budget, and then we have restaurants that are obviously more fine dining options. So it just kind of depends on what your price point is, but we do have a good variety of restaurants that you're not going to break your budget.
Miguel, anything exciting that you're looking forward to for this year's Buckhead Restaurant Week?
I will say there's some amazing restaurants that I definitely will be trying out. Just want to mention like Americano, Mission and Market, Brassica. These are some great restaurants. And another one thing I do want to mention too is that you can use our Buck Shuttle service to get around, so you don't have to drive alone to get to some of these restaurants.
And I have to ask, I know Buckhead, you kind of need reservations at some restaurants. Is that recommended for certain places? Do you need reservations to guarantee pretty much any access to any of these restaurants during it, or it just really depends, again, on the restaurant?
No, I would absolutely say Buckhead Restaurant Week is so popular, and it's been growing over the past few years. So I would definitely recommend anyone, if you're going to be trying these restaurants, go ahead and make your reservations this week because we only have a few days left.
And just to make sure we're clear, there are reservations available likely still for different times next week?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. And so where can people find more information about the different restaurants that are going to be taking part and all the information about Buckhead Restaurant Week?
So all the information you'll find on our website, buckheadrestaurantweek.com. That'll list all the restaurants participating and provide you their menus and hours. We're also going to be posting on our social media page daily. So make sure you follow us on Livable Buckhead, Instagram, and TikTok as well.
Miguel, I so appreciate you joining us. You have my mouth watering. Thankfully, I was able to eat a little bit of lunch before we came on here because the food we were showing looks fantastic, and it's always good to be able to try new places in the community. And I have one more question because I just thought of it. Obviously, I saw a Capitol Grill on there, and there's some other ones. Are there some local mom and pop places, or are a lot of these more chains?
We do have several that are more of the local base because we do want to, the main goal for Buckhead Restaurant really is to support both our local restaurants and then more of our fine dining destinations. So you do have a good variety to choose from.
Sorry, I had a little audible there just because I was curious because I didn't even think about that ahead of time when I was preparing for this. But Miguel, I really appreciate you joining us. Hopefully folks are able to go try something new. And this obviously hopefully helpful restaurants in the Buckhead area. Miguel, thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. I do appreciate it. And as we continue on here on this busy Thursday afternoon, that sounds like a very fun chance to be able to try a new place. I do want to mention our good friend here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock, Paul Milliken. He's going to be at one of the restaurants next week, and you can catch that on Good Day Atlanta. We know he'll have a fun time being able to show off all the fun surrounding Buckhead Restaurant Week. So look for that next week on Good Day Atlanta right here on Fox Local. And as we continue on, let's talk about this story. So apartment hunting is already stressful. We know it. I just had to do it within the last couple of months. Well, now artificial intelligence is actually adding another layer of uncertainty. So here's the deal. AI-generated staging is becoming more common on apartment listings. You're looking at some of the pictures there a moment ago, and they're transforming essentially empty spaces with furniture and updated finishes. And so while it can help renters picture a home's potential, some worry it's becoming harder to tell what is real. And critics say the concern is when listings hide flaws or make apartments look significantly better than they really are. And I'll tell you, this comes from personal experience. Having to search for an apartment within the last about 4 or 5 months, I was actually seeing these on some of the apartment complex websites, and you can actually add furnishings and add different things, and it does kind of hide some of the different, maybe the flaws and things like that. So it helps, but it also hinders. Let's take a listen to what some folks had to say.
I don't mind if they put in some furniture, like for scale and things like that, but like I want to see the bones of the building and the unit.
There's a difference between AI staging and AI deception. So I think AI staging is, putting, furniture, virtual, items in the space to make it feel more like a home. AI deception, which we've also seen, and some people call it house phishing.
And so supporters of using AI for this say it can be a helpful tool when it's used responsibly, and they really do say and use the term responsibly in this situation. But they say, and the people who maybe are against it say transparency is key before scheduling a tour. People don't want to be bait and switch where they see something that looks absolutely amazing, they walk in there and it looks nothing like it. Obviously, we know images can be kind of manipulated, and so that's what the two different sides are saying. Supporters are saying it actually helps give people a sense, while also the people who maybe kind of want to push pause on it kind of say, well, hey, you should be careful here because it can hide some of the flaws. So certainly interesting to see. AI, definitely a big topic, and it's making its way into rental listings, and certainly has for the last several years now as we're starting to get this new technology. Well, let's talk about this. So we heard Lauren Robinson just a few minutes ago, just about maybe 15 minutes ago here on Fox 5 News Live. She was talking just about the heat we're expecting and the summertime pattern that is continuing here in our area. And we know that Georgia is well known for a sizzling summer because, I mean, we are in the South after all, but not everyone knows all the ways it can affect your dog, specifically the paws, because obviously you're taking your dog out to go to the bathroom, and we know that concrete and the asphalt just has that beating sun on it, just makes it super hot. So we talked about it earlier today on Good Day Atlanta. Take a listen to what the conversation Joanne Feldman had.
I feel like this is something that's very easy for people to lose sight of, when you're just out and about in the summer months. But before we get to the details on the things that we need to know, tell us a little bit more about Central Bark.
Yeah, of course. So at Central Bark, we do enrichment doggy daycare, boarding, grooming, and training services. We focus on what we call the whole dog care approach. So we are looking not just at the physical health of the dog, dogs, but we're really focused on their mental stimulation and their emotional health for all the dogs that are there in our care.
Yeah.
So our location is in Brookhaven, but we sit at the apex of the Buckhead and Druid Hills neighborhoods.
Okay. Yeah, because these are our babies,
They're
right?
our babies.
I mean, they
Yeah.
absolutely are.
And for our clients, their kids are our kids. We see them every day, so they are wonderful.
They become part of your family,
100%.
which is why, you know, we need to be so careful about how we're taking care of them here. I feel like it seems like it's common sense that you want to avoid hot pavement, hot asphalt, or things like that. But what are some of the hidden surfaces that we need to be thinking about?
Yeah, everybody thinks of the concrete sidewalks and the asphalt and the blacktop. Some other surfaces that we want to make sure that we're being very careful of would be like a metal boat deck, rubberized playground, things along those natures. Sand is one that comes up very often, especially if you're at the beach with your dog. If it's too hot for our feet, it is 100% too hot for your dog's feet as well. The paw pads can be very sensitive, so we want to make sure that we're just on the lookout for surfaces that could be dangerous.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb. If it's too hot for you, it's too hot for them. All right, so I mean, ultimately, dogs can't really tell us if their paws are burning or if they're hurt. So what are we looking out for?
For sure. A good indicator is what we call the 7-second test. So it is a method of testing the heat in the surface of the ground. So you want to take the back of your hand, you're going to place it on the ground for 7 seconds. If you can comfortably keep your hand there, it's safe for your dog to walk on.
Okay.
If you get uncomfortable at any point during that 7 seconds, we want to find another option. Good thing to keep in mind is that the temperature of the air is not an indication of the temperature of the ground. So the material of the ground combined with the direct sunlight can create an entirely different temperature than the temperature of the air. So we want to make sure we're testing with the back of our hand.
Well, an easy test, but it also, that's a good reminder that basically anytime during the summer, you just need to be safe and just test it.
100%.
Okay, all right. So what are some ways, you know, beyond testing it ourselves, what can we do to kind of protect our pets when we want to take them out and about?
For sure. You want to make sure that you are planning your walks with them either earlier in the morning or later in the evening, or someplace that is a shaded walk. All of those are going to help you make sure that the paw pads are staying safe. Again, keep in mind though that even though the temperature may be dropping in the evening, it doesn't necessarily mean that the ground has cooled down. So still make sure that you're testing.
Okay, and so let's say, you know, the worst has happened, they have burned their paws. What do we need to do?
So something to keep in mind is that you don't actually want to put ice cold water on your dog's paws. That can actually cause more tissue damage. You can go ahead and bring that temperature down using room temperature water, and then you want to prevent them from licking or chewing on their paws. That can damage the tissue even more. I usually recommend an inflatable donut just to keep them from chewing on their paws before you can take them to the veterinarian.
Not the dreaded donut.
The donut, not the hard cone, but the inflatable donut. It's a little easier for them to tolerate.
Whatever it does to keep them safe and get them well and keep them well.
Correct.
This is fantastic advice. Where can people find you online and otherwise?
So we're at, you can go to www.centralbarkatlanta.com, and that is the easiest way to get a hold of us if you're interested in our services.
And I'm see you're on social media, you're on Instagram?
Oh, yes. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, wherever you want to find us, it's Central Bark Atlanta.
All right, well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and as she mentioned, there are several ways to reach out to Central Bark Atlanta. There's the company's name, website right there, phone number and email address on our screen, and we'll also share all of this information on our website, fox5atlanta.com. Just go to the Good Day tab and click on today's viewer information link.
All important information as we are seeing the heat and humidity here in our area. You want to make sure your beloved furry friend stays safe during our summers here in the South. As we continue on here on this busy Thursday afternoon, the time approaching 1:30 on this Thursday afternoon. Let's talk about this. In just a few minutes, we're going to be checking in with a local farm and how they are seeing a massive increase in sales as we were dealing with that cyclospora outbreak. We're back in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Thursday afternoon. The time now 1:32. We are so glad you're here. I'm Tyler Fingert. We're going to continue on with the news, and we're following some breaking news that just came down within the last about half hour. Let's talk about it. So you might remember this. The Minnesota man who pleaded guilty to killing a top Democratic lawmaker and her husband, well, he was sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison, and that sentencing happened, again, within the last about 30 or so minutes. That's when the update came down to us, and it came a little over a year after the political attacks. And so Vance Belter was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms plus 40 years in prison after pleading guilty in June to the 6 counts related to the killing of House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark and the shootings of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. Belter pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. Instead, he agreed to the maximum sentence he could be issued short of the death penalty. Prosecutors have said Belter stalked his targets before driving to their homes in the early morning hours of June 14th, 2025, disguised as a police officer. Police and court documents said Belter also visited the homes of 2 other lawmakers that night and had a list of potential targets. And I do want to mention this. I'm getting some notes right now from what was said in court. So friends and family of Minnesota Democratic lawmaker Hortman said the man sentenced in this case failed to eliminate her spirit and her legacy, but has caused enduring fear and fury as he changed their lives forever. So they're saying that her spirit and legacy continue, but it has caused fear and fury with their lives forever shattered because of what happened here. And as we continue on, I want to talk about the war in Iran. We are getting the very latest as the White House says Iran is begging for a deal after a 12th consecutive night of U.S. airstrikes on Iran. But new attacks on shipping by the Iranian-backed militia in the Red Sea could further escalate the conflict. In a video message, a spokesperson for the group said that the Iranian-backed terror group in Yemen confirms they targeted 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea on Wednesday. And that's the latest threat to international shipping after months of chaos in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, President Donald Trump is warning that group that they need to stand down or Iran will face the consequences. He put on Truth Social that if they do this again, the U.S. will hold Iran responsible. And the new attacks are sending global oil prices over $100 a barrel. And after another night of U.S. strikes, the war shows no signs of slowing down, even though the White House says the Iranians want to talk.
Iran is begging us, okay, both directly and indirectly. Let's do a deal. Let's talk. Let's talk. Iran is begging every day. The problem with Iran is every time they make a deal, the people that are in charge there, they either break it or they want to change it.
And so this morning, the House passed a war power resolution to restrict further military action in Iran. And just before we came on the air here for our 1 o'clock show, I was able to watch as the Senate voted about an hour ago again and to fail to advance it. So we're obviously monitoring this and we will continue to stay on top of this. So here in the Atlanta area, a lot of people know Chick-fil-A. Well, let me clear that. Our issue with our graphic system there said line 1 when it should have talked about Chick-fil-A. So the Atlanta-based fast food restaurant said a cyber attack exposed customers' data. And so here's what we know. The company says it recently identified suspicious login activity to certain Chick-fil-A One accounts. And so Chick-fil-A says customers' personal information may have been accessed, including names, email addresses, the last 4 digits of credit card numbers, along with possibly some other stuff. And the company says it took immediate action, including forcing logouts of affected accounts and removing stored payment methods. So Chick-fil-A says customers should change their password as soon as possible. We'll obviously stay on top of that story. It affects a lot of people here. We know Chick-fil-A is a national brand, but they are based right here in our backyard here in Atlanta. Let's talk about this. If you use an allergy medication, you definitely want to listen to this one. Several lots of an over-the-counter allergy med are being voluntarily recalled because of potential contamination. According to the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, the company, Unique Pharmaceutical Laboratories, is recalling 4 lots of an allergy medication. They're citing possible cross-contamination with another drug used for heartburn and acid reflux called ranitidine. And so for consumers with hypersensitivity to that drug, the FDA is warning ingestion of the medication may result in serious adverse health effects, including hypertension, and difficulty swallowing. The recalled allergy medication was distributed to retailers nationwide and has an expiration date of October 2028. And Unique Pharmaceutical Laboratories has not yet received any reports of adverse effects related to the recall, but urges consumers to contact their healthcare provider if they have experienced any symptoms or problems related to taking the drug. So if you take allergy meds, you definitely want to check your medicine cabinet to make sure that you do not have this. And if you do, throw it away or contact them for a refund. Let's continue on here. We know we've been talking about Cyclospora for what feels like ages, even though it's only been about a week or two. We know there's been an outbreak. Michigan has been the epicenter of that outbreak, but it has people the term I'm looking for is concerned about ingesting like lettuce or eating lettuce and things like that. And so some North Georgia shoppers are turning to local growers they know and trust. And our Chris Rosenthal has checked in with a local mom and pop farm up in Cumming, and they have seen a huge and big increase in the number of people selling out their stands at farmers markets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm up at Circle A Farms here in Cumming, surrounded by lettuce, lots and lots of lettuce. They've been growing lettuce here hydroponically for about 14 years now. And like any business, they've had their ups and downs. But lately, they've had big ups. They've had a big increase in sales because of that Cyclospora outbreak. People are coming here looking for lettuce that is safe and that they're comfortable with. And I have Cheryl Howland here. She is the one of the co-owners here at Circle A Farms. Thanks for joining us, Cheryl. And,
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me, how big of an increase have you seen in business since this outbreak?
It's been quick. It came on quite fast. About 30% in the last 10 to 14 days, slowly and steady. And people then come out and try it and love it, and they come back for their next salad.
Do they say they're concerned about the outbreak, and that's why they're coming?
They very much are. The symptoms that this particular parasite is giving is obviously nothing anybody would be interested in going through. So people are very cautious, and we're so happy that they can get a chance to witness what local looks like. And local is grown clean. It's cut the morning that you receive it. You don't even need to rinse or wash it because we're indoors. Nothing touches it, not rainwater, anything pulled out of the sky, as far as also no herbicides and no pesticides on our lettuce, so you can eat it right out of the bag.
And this is a spring mix here. And
yes, this is our current spring mix here. Very popular product, and we are now venturing into another new product called Little Gem Spring Mix, which is what this is. They're all grown separately, cut, and then mixed. So we're going to try that out soon.
Yeah, and tell me, this hydroponic process, what is that and how does it make it, safer from some of these concerns that people have?
It's really safe from the elements, and it's also safe from workers that maybe are not given ideal conditions to work in. We're obviously indoors, so we're protected from a lot, even bird droppings, which is we don't want to think about, but it happens. And we have the structure here, which is a grow hole. And then inside that grow hole, we have a small little cube that the seeds are planted in. Those are root hairs. They will actually take up the water from this straw here. This is water, and that's going down. And the roots are just bathed all the way down to the last tube and then recycled all the way throughout the greenhouse. So in actuality, hydroponics is also very kind to the environment in that it uses 1/3 of the amount of water that traditional crops use.
Yeah, and they're not grown in the dirt, so you don't have to worry about maybe anything that's contaminated in the dirt, for example.
One of the big things of concern is runoff, whether that be pesticides from neighbors, pesticides from a company or whatnot. We eliminate all of that. So we feel very, very confident that our product is very safe. And we've been doing this and wanted people to take advantage of it more. And so this is helping us, get the word out of how local is so much better for you nutritionally as well.
Kind of a blessing and a curse. Obviously we don't want this,
no,
we don't want this disease, or this problem, but of course, maybe it's introducing people to maybe some healthier alternatives here. And, and people can come here or they can get it delivered?
Yes, you can come to our farm store that is located on our property, or you can also order online through our farm to porch delivery program, and that's through zip codes. And it's just a good idea. Take a peek at our website, circlealettuce.com, and we will be doing a lot of new updates in the next couple weeks, just adjusting to the increase in demand. while maintaining that very highest quality that we can.
Yeah, you guys have such a big demand. You've had to increase your coverage area where you'll deliver. So, I mean, I think that says a lot about the concern people are having, and you know, looking for other alternatives, such as, I mean, this farm here, and you know, this greenhouse area we're in. This is just one of 6 of these, right?
6 in total, and we have room to expand 9 more. So, we'd love to do it.
And what, 7 varieties of lettuce?
7 varieties of lettuce. Very nutritious, and the taste is just amazing. 2 to 3 weeks fresh in your refrigerator because it doesn't have any food miles. A lot of the lettuce that you'll receive on our program delivered right to your porch was growing that morning when you woke up. So it's that fresh, and it will last a good long time.
Gotcha. Yeah, and like I said, there are lots of people coming here, you know, as an alternative.
Well, so Chris, while you have Stephanie there, one of our people watching on TikTok had asked where they get the seeds from. Are they locally grown? Are they local as well?
We actually have a question from somebody, a viewer. The seeds, where do they come from?
We actually source from Johnny's Seeds up in Maine, which is the most reputable seed company. And we pay for the best. We get the absolute best seeds that we can. All organic if we can, and non-GMO. And we've been very happy with Johnny's Seeds.
So there you go, Johnny's Seeds. That's where they come from.
Love to hear it. Can I just say, I was commenting while you were talking with Stephanie there. Each individual plant looks so perfect. It almost looks like a work of art. The green is so vibrant. The mixed spring mix there, everything looks like they're almost plastic. Can you confirm they're all real?
They are all real. I don't want to touch them and maybe contaminate them, but they are
real.
But they are all real. I can tell you that. So.
They look absolutely beautiful, good enough to eat, and eventually they will be eaten soon. Chris Rosenthal, thanks so much for joining us. We will be checking in with you over the course of the next several hours here on Fox 5 News Live. As we continue on, the time now 1:43 on this Thursday afternoon. Let's talk about this. The next generation of great comic book artists are preparing to take the world by storm, and it's happening at a unique Metro Atlanta summer camp, and it's all going down at the Comic Workshop in Avondale Estates. So we sent our own superhero, my good friend Paul Milliken, to check it all out.
We are seeing the next generation of great artists right here in Avondale Estates at the Comic Workshop. If you're a comic book fan, you're going to love this place. It is the only art studio locally dedicated to the art of comic books. And these are some of the young creators that I am watching very closely, remembering these faces because I know you've got very bright futures. Stephanie is standing by right now, one of the founders of the Comic Workshop. Tell me about summer camp here. What happens during summer camp?
So during summer camp, every week is a different theme. So we're really pulling from, we had Kaiju Week, we have everything anime and manga. This week is Pokemon Week. So every week is a different theme, but they're always making a comic. So at the end of this entire experience, they're either making a zine, a mini comic, a Sunday comic, multi-page comics that they're really working on all throughout the week. So we're a 5-day camp, Monday through Friday, and each of those days they're building on what they're learning to create their final piece of work.
And what I love about this too is you even have like themed lunches coming in, right?
We do. We've partnered with My Parents' Basement, Lefty Lee's, Enzo, all of these local restaurants in the community that have been amazing. And yeah, they love having the campers come into the restaurant sometimes too, or cater the lunch and customize it to what we're working on.
Yeah. Are you always just amazed by the creativity that you see during these summer camps?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like you'd be surprised what comes out of the minds and the mouths of all of these kids. We cater to ages 7 and up.
Okay. So even when it's not summer though, when summer camps are not happening, there's always stuff going on here at the Comic Workshop, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have programming for adults, figure drawing on the 3rd Sunday of every month. We do holiday camps as well. So when school's closed, we're open. We also do regular workshops on the weekends. So the end of August is when our fall curriculum catalogs come out.
Amazing.
So that's where people can go to find out and get signed up first.
Yeah, I love that. And Speaking of upcoming things, there's a Manga Day festival coming up. Tell me about that.
There is. So we're doing our first public-facing community event right across the street. We're doing this in partnership with Olive and Pine, and it's a little convention. It's a Manga Day festival. We're celebrating National Manga Day, which is officially recognized on November 3rd. We'll have cosplay contests, drawing contest. Lots of opportunities for people to buy comics, buy manga, learn more about the craft, and take part.
Yeah, I mean, how much do you love just passing this art form on and getting the next generation really excited and geeked out about carrying it forward?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I married a sequential artist, so it's really great to feed back into the ecosystem. We exclusively hire other cartoonists. That's our way of feeding into the ecosystem and giving back as well. And we train other artists as well to be able to do this work. So catering to this next generation means a lot. They might not become sequential artists, but these are all skill sets that they can use in any industry, TV, film, really entrepreneurial skills that will last a lifetime.
Agreed. It's so much fun being here. Thanks for letting us hang out with you for a while.
Thanks for coming. It was a pleasure having you.
And remember, you can always find more segments from Good Day Atlanta on our website, fox5atlanta.com. Just click on the Good Day Atlanta section. As we continue on here on this busy Thursday afternoon, so we know students are going to be heading back to class soon. Sadly, the summer is coming to an end. We're taking a look how some local Metro Atlanta organizations are trying to make it easier for everyone. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. The time now 1:50 on this Thursday afternoon. As we continue on, I want to take you live to the New York Stock Exchange. Looking at the big board right now, you can see that we are down just over a percentage point, and it has been down pretty much all day. You can see we've been in the red here. So I want to share a couple things about what we know about why we're seeing such a big drop and seeing the stock market plunge. So a lot of this has to do with a disappointing day for big tech earnings that reignited concerns about unstable AI spending. So technology playing a role here, apparently. So we know that several big companies, including Tesla, saw shares tank. Theirs have tanked just about 12% after its profits missed estimates due to aggressive AI spending. And Alphabet, which owns Google, dropped about 6% after raising its full-year capital expenditure forecast to up to $205 billion. We also know oil prices are surging as well. That is playing a role as the war in in Iran continues. We will obviously be monitoring this throughout the day and bring updates right here on Fox 5 News Live throughout the afternoon. Let's talk about this. So with students getting ready to head back to class, and we know that people are in the thick of summer, travel is underway, and the kids are out of school. And with all that extra free time, there's more to spend in front of TVs, more time rather to spend in front of TVs, tablets, and phones. And as children get ready to re-enter the classroom, some of them will be faced with cell phone bans. But an associate professor of education research says it's not all bad. In May, David Marshall and his team did a national study based on nearly 600 teachers about screen time in the classroom. So here's what they found. They found 85% of teachers say that there is too much technology in the classroom. And Marshall also found of all the teachers surveyed, whether they worked at schools where cell phone bans existed or not, most of them supported no cell phone policies.
It's hard to get that large of a share of the population to agree on almost anything. So when you have this many teachers telling us something, I think it's important that we listen. I mean, I think overall schools just need to be asking a question, does technology need to be in place to enhance learning for this particular learning objective? And the answer doesn't necessarily need to always be yes.
And so students in North Georgia are gearing up to go back to school. And I'm hesitant to even say this because I didn't even realize that this was happening. Chattooga County, which here in northwest Georgia, heading towards Chattanooga, they head back to class tomorrow. I can't even believe that. Can't believe summer is already over. July 24th and heading back to class already. What a difference a decade and a half makes, because I feel like it was always August, sometimes September, wherever you are. And as we continue on, as people get ready to head back to class, local organizations want to be able to make it easier for folks. And we know that that transition obviously can be difficult financially wise. And AmeriGroup of Georgia is partnering with local organizations this month to provide families with school supplies, diapers, and other essential resources. And Maria Guzman was there for the big giveaway today.
We're inside a community health center here in Lawrenceville, and it's a packed house because AmeriGroup and its partners are working together to equip moms with essential baby items.
So what they will be experiencing today is a welcoming organization that has for them this event that is also co-sponsored by AmeriGroup, and Helping Mamas is also providing diapers and also some baby supplies. And they will be getting supplies such as pillows, they will be getting diapers. We have a huge amount of diapers, piles of diapers right there for them.
Our demographic is always moms and kids, and of course there is a big need for expecting moms for these essential supplies, like items like diapers, wipes, sometimes clothes or baby bottles. It's a way to support, and this is the way AmeriGroup is always giving back to our community.
With the inflation coming up, definitely we are seeing a lot of demand between moms regarding, supplies and also nutrition supplies.
Well, the moms that come today, they're going to be receiving diapers and wipes. Plus, we have several community partners, free organizations that are donating baby clothes and are donating some items. And we are expecting to attend at least 115 to 200 people. When we interact with the community, yes, there is a big need, especially for the demographic that we cover. There is a need for the household essential. Right now, housing is difficult. Everything is increasing, the prices, the rent, everything. So during back to school, it's June, July, and August, we try to offer free backpacks for the community, hosting events like back to schools or tools for the school. We've been doing this for several years, more than 10 years. AmeriGroup is giving back to the community. During July, we offer these benefits. As well, we host food pantries, and we work together for cooking demonstrations and many other events.
And this is just one of several outreaches that AmeriGroup Georgia has been hosting for the month of July. Their next big outreach is the first Saturday of August. They're going to be doing a back-to-school bash in Cobb County. In Lawrenceville, Maria Guzman, I'll send things back to you.
Maria, thanks so much for a look at that. Glad they're able to do stuff like that for people in our community. And that is going to do it for us for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We still have a lot more ahead for Fox 5 News Live at 2. Ariel Onstadt will be joining you at the top of the hour. I'm Tyler Fingert. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you make it a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
under the fire or lights of fire under them to make sure that they get answers for the community.
Understandable for those officers to want to make sure justice is done for these families. Have family members spoken with you at all about this senseless killing? Have they shared anything about their loved one? I can only imagine what they're going through.
Yeah, so they've talked with police, her husband, just sharing memories and things like that. They've been talking over the past couple of months as they want justice to be served there, and they're looking for answers.
Then, Eric, a final question here. Do you get any sense from police that this gunfire that started came from a dispute or from individuals who may have known each other? I think you were alluding to some of the investigative details as you were kind of talking a little bit earlier, but just wanted to ask based on some questions we're seeing here in our chat.
Yeah, so they really are not answering a lot of those questions. I asked that. We do know that Ina Chambers had nothing to do with whatever was going on in this particular case here, but we also just don't know what this might have stemmed from. I asked earlier, was this a targeted incident for something else? Was this gang related? But they haven't put that information out as they're holding a lot of things to the chest here as they're investigating. They haven't even released, which direction the car went in, and we all know it's just a sedan, but the color of the car, the type, the make, model, police, I think, just holding a lot of that information as they tell me that they're just trying not to let too much get out there to impede with their investigators.
Eric, got it. Thank you so much for joining us live, letting us know what to expect. We will see you again later this evening with the latest. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, you guys, let's talk about this situation. 4 men were hurt after a quadruple shooting on Joseph E. Lowery Boulevard here in Atlanta. Now, ultimately, police believe it was an escalating dispute that led to this exchange of gunfire. Officers went to a business in the 600 block of Joseph E. Lowery Boulevard just before 4 o'clock Wednesday after receiving reports of multiple people shot. When officers got there, they found 2 men with gunshot wounds, and paramedics rushed them to Grady in stable condition. Now, police learned 2 other men who were shot drove to Emory University Hospital in Midtown in their own vehicles. One of those men was later moved by ambulance to Grady for surgery after being shot in his abdomen. All 4 victims are aged 30, 47, 58, and 60. They are listed in stable condition, and investigators say a gunman walked into the business and an ongoing argument between the parties escalated into gunfire both inside and outside of the building. So we will keep you updated as investigators try to figure out how this happened. They're still trying to identify and locate vehicles connected to the incident. So if you know anything about this, give officers a call. This happened at the Lowery Food Mart, as you can see there on Joseph E. Lowery Boulevard. Let's talk about this crazy situation that unfolded in Paulding County. A bloody knock on a door led to an arrest. And imagine you are at your home when someone knocks on your door and tells you that they may have hurt someone else. Let's talk about this because you're taking a look at the man now arrested. A 62-year-old U.S. Army veteran is in the ICU with a fractured skull and brain bleeding after deputies say his housemate brutally beat him at a Paulding County home. Paulding County Sheriff's deputies arrested this man, Taylor Trueblood, on aggravated battery charges early Tuesday morning after finding him on the lawn. A neighbor, Charles Wilson, says that Trueblood knocked on his door around 2 a.m. with blood all over his hands, saying that he had killed someone. When deputies arrived, Trueblood made bizarre statements telling law enforcement that people were coming for him and eating people. Now, Jordan Udis with the Paulding County Sheriff's Office notes that the victim's severe injuries indicate household furniture may have been used alongside fists during that attack. Take a listen to what the neighbor, Charles Wilson, says about this knock he got on his door.
My wife and I opened the door. He said that he had to kill someone that he was sharing a house with. My wife said, "We need to call the police." Then he said, "Please call the police."
So just a situation that was not right. Ultimately, the victim had been renting a room in the home for about a year, while True Blood moved in just a few weeks prior. Other residents living in that home reported waking up to commotion during the night, and they tried to intervene to stop the violence but could not, prompting them to call 911 as well. Investigators have not indicated whether True Blood will face additional charges, as that victim is hospitalized in critical condition. So we will keep you updated. Let's talk about a shooting that happened on a MARTA bus. Ultimately, a trail of blood is what led investigators to find the suspect involved. This happened in Sandy Springs, and a man and a woman were hospitalized Wednesday night after an accidental gun discharge aboard a MARTA bus. This happened near Roswell Road and Glen Ridge Road in Sandy Springs. And emergency crews responded to reports of gunfire on that MARTA bus route, Route 5, just before midnight Wednesday at the intersection of Roswell and Glen Ridge. Investigators say a man's gun accidentally went off, firing a single bullet through his own left forearm and into an innocent woman's knee area. The injured woman stayed on the bus while the suspect ran eastbound on Glen Ridge towards Roswell Road. Officers followed a blood trail into the Church of Scientology parking lot, where they found and arrested that man. Paramedics transported him to the North Fulton Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The woman was also taken to the hospital, and police noted she was in stable condition. They have booked the suspect into the Fulton County Jail on charges of reckless conduct and aggravated assault upon his release. 5 other passengers and a bus driver were on board at the time of the gunfire, but none of them were hurt. So we will keep you updated as this moves forward. Let's talk about Atlanta police capturing one of their top 10 most wanted suspects. This man is a suspect in a murder, and his name is Darius Williams. Ultimately, law enforcement, federal law enforcement agents, and local SWAT teams helped Atlanta homicide investigators capture him. This happened Tuesday, and he was wanted in connection with a fatal shooting back in 2021. This happened in Athens, Clark County, the arrest, and Williams was listed among Atlanta's top 10 most wanted fugitives for that homicide back in October of 2021. Upon searching Williams' home, homicide investigators discovered several driver's licenses from multiple states under different names. Police say Williams was using the fake identities to evade capture. And as far as the 2021 incident goes, officers responded to the 2300 block of Niskey Lake in southwest Atlanta after reports of a person shot. First responders found a 33-year-old man inside a car and the road, unresponsive. Grady EMS rushed to the scene and were able to pronounce that man dead from a gunshot wound. They were ultimately trying to figure out how this happened, and Williams was the suspect through their investigation. They've not released a motive for the deadly shooting, but they are working to determine circumstances surrounding that incident. So we will continue to keep you updated as that moves forward. Keep in mind, officials have not confirmed how long Williams had been staying in the Athens-Clarke County area prior to his arrest. Let's talk about a bust in Butts County. So we all know that contraband, especially in state prisons, is a big problem and something that sheriff's offices and federal and local authorities work to combat. But that was something they were actually able to do with a massive drone bust. Our Doug Evans joining us live from Butts County. And Doug, I understand that drone had a lot of contraband, knives, cell phones, drugs, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, hey there, Ariel. I am in Jackson, Georgia. This was home of Hawkins in Stranger Things, the fictional town of Hawkins in that hit TV show, and so there are a lot of fans of that show walking around behind me and taking tours and that sort of thing. That's not what we're talking about today here. We're talking about a drone and a bunch of contraband that was seized out on Interstate 75 by Butts County deputies. They say this is a drop in the bucket to things that they are seeing up and down the highway of contraband that are going to state prisons. This drone, they got ecstasy, they got marijuana, they got tobacco, they got Meta sunglasses, okay, as well as cell phones. Sheriff Gary Long here in Butts County says this is a huge problem, you guys, and this is why you should care about it. He says what they're seeing is they're seeing guys that they send away for crimes like burglary. They're going to state prisons, he says. They come back, you know, out of state prison, not reformed, but members of violent, organized street gangs that exist in prisons. And they've got some big prisons here in Butts County. We're talking about Death Row, for one thing, is located here, the Georgia Diagnostic Center, where every prisoner starts out right here in Butts County. And so Sheriff Long says, if you don't care about this contraband, if you don't care that prisoners are getting cell phones behind bars, you need to care that this state prisons, he says, are being turned into recruiting grounds for violent criminals who then go back into your community, right, and commit more violent crimes. Here's Sheriff Long on what they found and what he says is the problem behind all this.
Yeah, we had marijuana, cigarette tobacco, dozens of cell phone, Meta sunglasses, over 6 ounces of ecstasy, or MDMA, PlayStation, gaming system, clothing. It was just knives, things that should never be going into prisons by far. But you know, you start smuggling in knives, and you got to figure, Doug, if we were lucky getting 10% of what's destined to the prisons, how many firearms has made it into our prisons? If they can fly in kilos of methamphetamines or pounds of marijuana and knives, we know they can fly in guns as well. It's time that the public, you know, here we are in an election season, and everybody wants to put an undertone on public safety, but nobody wants to talk about the root cause. And the root cause today isn't sitting in our communities, Doug. It's sitting in our prison systems. It has to be fixed. I have a prison in my county, and on a good day, we have 5 guards to manage almost 3,000 inmates. That we have high max, we have death row inmates, and we have 5 guards. There's no doubt, look, the commissioners, the employees out there, they can't control that prison. And it is completely ran and controlled by gang members that we've taken off the streets.
Sheriff Gary Long, very outspoken. I've known him for a long time, since he was a deputy running radar out on I-75. Takes this issue very seriously. He says, guys, if you know the political candidate that you support is not talking about this issue, ask them, find out where they stand on cleaning up the state prisons. He says preventing crimes within the prison walls, preventing recruitment of gang members behind prison walls, people that are going back into the communities, he says, and are committing violent crimes. So an interesting story with this drone, an interesting story with the drugs, the cell phones, Meta sunglasses. I still can't wrap my head around that. All of that is very interesting, but Gary Long says there's a very, very serious issue behind all of this.
Definitely interesting, Doug. You know, any watch of a documentary within Georgia's prison system will show you just how unfriendly a place it can be. So this is something I know we'll continue to follow, and especially just incredible that for a long time you needed a human to smuggle contraband in, but now with drones there's just a lot of different opportunities to try to get things to prisoners.
Yes, and drones are probably the #1 problem that they face now, and they do have drone detection systems, I'm told, but not very many of them. And we think, Ariel, and we covered this. Now, how many stories did we do during the World Cup on the dozens and dozens of drones that the FBI captured during the World Cup? And yet apparently drones continue to be a problem for our state prison system.
Well, Doug, thank you for joining us live, letting us know about this bust. We will see you again later this evening with more on the story. So, Doug Evans, thank you. As we continue, guys, let's continue to keep you updated on some of the stories we're following here in our newsroom. In case you missed it, which I'm sure many of you didn't, especially if you live in Cobb County, President Trump visited Wheeler High School in Cobb County to promote his newly launched Trump accounts for kids. Let's talk about the president's visit, because he spoke to an audience of roughly 3,000 people. He touted these child investment accounts, and he cast his opponents as communists who were threatening to bankrupt the country. President Trump spoke for an hour and 15 minutes and also criticized members of the U.S. Senate for failing to pass his signature election bill, known as the Save America Act. The bill would require voters to show proof of citizenship, such as a birth certificate or a passport, before being able to cast a vote. Now, Trump has repeatedly demanded, the president has repeatedly demanded, that lawmakers enact the bill. It did stall in the Senate last month, largely over concerns that it would create chaos ahead of the November midterms. The president has refused to sign a landmark bipartisan housing bill over lawmakers' failures to pass the act, and centered last Thursday's primetime address on the Save America Act. Now, the president's appearance at a public high school in Georgia really had the tone of a campaign rally, with a wide array of down-ballot Republican candidates appearing on stage to pitch themselves to Georgia voters. The president also castigated U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff, a Georgia Democrat running for re-election, for voting against many of his policy priorities. Now, Republican gubernatorial candidate Rick Jackson, whom you just saw, appeared on stage with President Trump and promised that Georgia would match that initial $1,000 federal contribution to Trump accounts for kids, and said that if Georgia does not, he would personally donate. Officials have not confirmed whether the Georgia legislature will officially vote to approve matching funds for newborn savings accounts. Additionally, officials have not stated whether future presidential campaign stops will utilize public school facilities, because that was a big complaint of those on the other side. So if you were some of the protesters, the couple hundred protesters who were outside of Wheeler High School during this event, one of their big arguments was that a public high school setting that uses taxpayer money should not be used to fund what felt like a campaign stop. We spoke to a high school student, Reed Bauer, and in Cobb County, who said, quote, "Our tax dollars should not be going towards a political rally being held in a neighborhood public school," end quote. Now, also at this rally, or this stop that the president made to talk about Trump accounts, was the family of First Lieutenant Tyler Feehand, a U.S. soldier with ties here to Georgia who was killed in the Middle East on Friday. That soldier's family traveled with the president on Air Force One, and the president did acknowledge his family during his address. Let's talk about the latest regarding a stock trading ban that has narrowly passed the House. Congressmen and women passing this legislation just on the margins that would prevent members of Congress from buying individual stocks while in office. The bill passed 232 to 198, with more than a dozen Democrats joining Republicans. Critics of this say this so-called Stop Insider Trading Act doesn't go far enough. They say it limits lawmakers from buying and selling stocks, but the measure still allows them to keep the ones they have already bought. It also exempts the president and the vice president from this. Take a listen to what lawmakers on both sides are saying.
The stock trading ban in Congress is about a 96% public opinion issue. They've got to go home and answer for why they're against that. And voter ID is a 90-10 issue as well. So good luck. Good luck answer for that.
And what are your expectations? It's like Velveeta to real Wisconsin cheese. It's been said this bill has loopholes so big a Qatari jet could go through them. It still allows members to hold stock. It still allows members to buy stock with dividends. It's still...
this particular bill is not really a stock trading bill. It's a voter suppression bill, and that's why most Democrats voted against it.
Does it give you any solace? I just wish it had been a straight up or down vote on the bill, and that we voted on that and didn't have voter ID attached to it, which now makes it a partisan exercise.
You got to hear what Representative from Texas, Chip Roy, was saying, a Republican, that while he agreed with the stock trading aspect of the bill, or while that could have been something that they passed on its own, that there was other pieces of legislation attached to this bill that ultimately caused it to become more controversial. Democrats, for example, were opposing the legislation as well after GOP leaders added an unrelated provision requiring voter ID at the polls, and that is a key element of the SAVE Act, a measure backed by President Trump that has continued to stall in the Senate. So you can see Republicans are trying to attach pieces of the Save America Act to other pieces of legislation in attempts to get it through, because this has been such a big priority for President Trump. The stock trading bill now heads to the Senate, but it's not clear if or when lawmakers there are going to take this up. So we will continue to keep you updated. Straight ahead, you guys, I do want to get a check of your weather forecast with with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. Then after that, we're going to talk about the latest regarding the Iran war, what was said by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt regarding an unprecedented deal regarding Saudi Arabia and its ability to potentially enrich uranium. We're also going to talk about a key figure testifying about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, or potential ties therein to Jeffrey Epstein, when we come back. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. Lauren, great to have you. Thank you. So a little warm outside, as per usual. What do we expect in terms of rain chances? What does the weekend have in store for us?
Well, we are finally starting to see some very isolated showers. A few very, very brief storms start to push their way through the area. All morning long, they were hanging out just north of Georgia, mostly along Chattanooga into North Carolina. And we're waiting for that stalled front to drag southward a bit. And as that happens, it was going to bring in some more shower chances into North Georgia. So that's finally started to happen. And as expected, they're very brief, very hit or miss. I do think we could have some stronger storm chances tomorrow. But today, anything overhead will be, I think, very light in nature. Now, it's Thursday, my favorite day, drought monitor day. So it's, hard to tell any sort of change from last week, but numbers-wise, we have improved across North Georgia. Each category has improved, including the non-drought category. That's the area with no color at all. We've increased, I think, from 14% to 17% there. Everything else is continuing to get better. We're seeing less and less of the orange and the tan color and more of the yellow, which is a good indicator. We already got rid of that red, and we've been rid of the maroon, that exceptional drought, for a while, for a few months. We had some lingering red areas in the high country. That's able to get on out. And now we're seeing those orange and tans become smaller and smaller. Then, hopefully over the next few days with our shower and storm chances, we can continue to get rid of these drought conditions that continue to linger across North Georgia. But outside of that, it is still warm and humid. It is still, July in the south. So we're seeing those temperatures in the middle to upper 80s, low 90s across North Georgia, actually a tad bit below average if we do end up maxing out in the 80s today, which is a possibility. I think we could see 90 by the end of the day, but all in all, we're at 85 right now in downtown Atlanta. We're seeing 90 in Covington, 91 in Eatonton. But take a look at these winds. whenever they're coming in from the southwest like that, that means we're seeing that Gulf moisture move into our area. So we're going to see with it heat and humidity. So you factor in that humidity and it feels like the 90s. It feels like triple digits right now in Covington, but it feels like 99 degrees in Eatonton, 97 out in Athens. Downtown Atlanta feels like 91. Same goes for Griffin, Thomaston. It's going to be pretty hot out there, of course. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at our live Viper radar. We do have good old Bertha making its way onshore there into Houston. That's not going to impact us directly. More of what we're looking for is that stalled frontal boundary that's been hanging out across North Georgia over the last few days, and it's going to continue through a good portion of the weekend. That's finally starting to drop southward a bit, and as it does, we're seeing those storms that were in Chattanooga and north of Blairsville. We're starting to see a couple of those raindrops push southward toward the I-20 corridor there. So we zoom into Metro Atlanta. This is where you can see a couple of little rain showers here and there, one over Ackworth. We have a couple little storms near Alatoona. We have a couple little cells just kind of peppered about, mostly along and north of the I-20 corridor, though. We're still waiting on them to drop southward enough to get into our southern counties. But as we continue through the rest of the day, this front doesn't move a whole lot. Same goes for through the rest of the weekend. By tomorrow, it's finally southward a bit. That's why our temperatures will drop a bit, because we're going to be on the north side of the front. We're going to be in the cooler air side. So our temperatures will drop a little bit Friday into Saturday. But then as we go into Sunday, that front lifts northward and mostly out of our area. So that's why we're going to trend a bit drier for our Sunday. But as you take a look at flood watch, the green is right along where that front has been stalled. That's because that's where we're going to continue to see those showers linger a bit longer. So we're looking for flood watches in these green areas through tomorrow evening. Widespread totals of around 2 to 4 inches of rain expected through tomorrow. Now, as you take a look at these temperatures, they drop a little bit, and that's again going to be because we're going to be on the north side of that front. It's going to bring increased rain chances, decreased temperatures, and then that all flip-flops as we go through the second half of our weekend. We're looking for those temperatures to return to the lower to middle 90s. We're also looking for some drier conditions to return. But remember, when we're that warm and dry, you want to watch for those heat indices. We could be approaching triple digits again. And then as we continue to move through the rest of the forecast, we'll keep an eye out for the hot, dry weather ahead. We'll have more coming for you on the other side of this break.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here in the 2 o'clock hour. If you were just joining us, I have a bit of a cough today, so we're going to work through some of these stories and talk about what's happening in the Fox 5 newsroom, and just bear with me here. So let's talk about the latest with Iran, because at this point, the White House says Iran is begging for a deal, a storyline we've heard quite a few times. After a 12th consecutive night of U.S. airstrikes on Iran. The new attacks are by that the U.S. is seeing is from Iranian-backed rebel group, the Houthis. And this is happening in the Red Sea and could further escalate the conflict. In a video message, a Houthi spokesperson for this terror group in Yemen, which is backed by Iran, confirms they targeted 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea on Wednesday. Now, the latest threat to international shipping, it's the latest threat to international shipping after months of chaos in the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump is warning the Houthis to stand down or Iran will face consequences. The new attacks are sending global oil prices over $100 a barrel. And after another night of U.S. strikes on Iran, the war shows no sign of slowing down, even though White House officials say the Iranians want to talk. The White House the House, Congressional House of Representatives, has narrowly passed another war powers resolution to halt the president's war with Iran. It does not hold the force of law, but signals growing unease within the GOP about the war as 4 Republicans sided with Democrats. However, the Senate has rejected the legislation this afternoon in a 47-49 vote. In the meantime, President Trump has approved an unprecedented deal with Saudi Arabia. It's a major shift in the U.S. nuclear policy in the Middle East. The Trump administration wants Saudi Arabia to be able to enrich its own uranium, a capability the U.S. has long fought to keep out of Iran's hands. This would supposedly allow the kingdom to pursue a civilian nuclear program. The Wall Street Journal first reported the deal, which lasts for 30 years and could involve American companies. It reportedly does not require Saudi Arabia to abide by International Atomic Energy Agency's toughest protocols, which allow for surprise inspections at nuclear sites. So this is not necessarily calling for a level of oversight, according to critics, that one might expect. The deal will likely have to go through Congress for final approval, where some lawmakers are concerned the U.S. is throwing a match on an already unstable region. The administration, the White House, is defending the deal. Take a listen to what White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had to say during the White House press briefing this afternoon.
The United States is not opposed to civil nuclear facilities, as we all know. Look, this is a condition that the president has spoken about many times with our Gulf and Arab allies. He wants to see these countries sign the Abraham Accord. It was one of the most historic accomplishments of his first term, and it continues to be a long-term goal of his to expand those accords to ultimately come to a place where the Middle East can be a peaceful and stable region. And yes, this deal with Saudi Arabia, the energy deal, is contingent on this condition as far as the president is concerned. So we'll continue to talk with our Saudi counterparts to get the deal finalized and hopefully see them joining the Abraham Accords very soon. Well, look, the president is always the final deal maker, as you know, and this is something that he has mentioned on numerous occasions going back. I can provide you with those statements, and he has said if they don't join the Abraham Accords, the deal is off. So we'll continue to have those conversations with our Saudi counterparts moving forward.
Now, the Saudi Crown Prince has been clear that if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, his country will pursue a nuclear weapon as well. So while this capability to enrich uranium is supposed to be used civilly and not used militarily, Saudi Arabia is making it clear that that may not always be the case. So let's talk about something that's unfolding on Capitol Hill today, because ex-Barclays boss Jess Staley is on Capitol Hill, the latest to answer questions about potential ties to Jeffrey Epstein. The meeting comes after Staley lost a legal challenge to ban him from holding senior financial roles in the United Kingdom for misleading them over the nature of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Staley's lawyers contend that he, quote, never attempted to conceal his relationship with Epstein, a claim dismissed by a 3-person tribunal in London. Staley has admitted to having a close professional relationship with Epstein, but insists that they were not personally close. In the past, he had acted as a private banker to Epstein during his time with JP Morgan Chase. Now, meanwhile, I do want to let you know that a former model scout linked to Epstein has been found dead in his home in Paris. Danielle Syed was facing investigation from Paris prosecutors for accusations of rape and organized human trafficking. Women had come forward after his name appeared nearly 2,000 times in the Epstein files released by the Justice Department. An autopsy report has not yet been issued to confirm a cause of death. Let's bring you a little closer to home here really quickly and talk about a scheme unfolding in the film industry here. Two Tifton men are now facing decades in prison after pleading guilty in a Southwest Georgia film tax fraud scheme involving over $500,000 in fake refunds. Ryan Rugg pled guilty Wednesday to wire fraud conspiracy, while co-defendant Joshua Jordan admitted to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft on March 26th. Investigators say that the pair submitted 22 fraudulent New York State tax returns using stolen identities for people who never worked in film production. And it's interesting because it does come after a state audit found that Georgia's film industry was ripe for fraud or to be potentially taken advantage of because there was no independent body necessarily overseeing these film tax credits and making sure that things were on the up and up. So this is one story that we've now seen where this kind of has happened. So we'll keep you updated as it moves forward. In the meantime, let's talk about some ramifications of this cyclospora outbreak. So we've seen a huge push from a lot of businesses and people to shop local, saying that the food you buy closest to you is going to be safest for you because it doesn't take as long to get to your table. Our Chris Rosenthal is out live at a local farm here in Georgia. And Chris, I understand this farm says that it's now seeing a surge in business as people are trying to shop local.
Yeah, absolutely. I am at Circle A Farms here in Cumming, and they've been in business for about 14 years. They grow lettuce, of all things. I'm surrounded here by romaine lettuce here, just one of the varieties that they grow. Some of it younger, some of it getting closer to being picked here. But they grow it hydroponically, and, you know, like most businesses, they've had ups and downs, but now they have had a surge in business if people are looking for alternatives to maybe that grocery store lettuce with concerns of the cyclospora outbreak. And so I am here with Cheryl Howland. She is one of the co-owners here of farms in Circle A Farms in Cumming. And tell me about the surge in business you guys have had lately.
Yes, sometimes lettuce can have some problems being brought in from over the borders or in fields from California, and it happens. Unfortunately, people get sick, but we can isolate and figure out what's going on. But we've never really had that problem here at Circle A Farms because, number one, we grow indoors. We have very clean parameters. Everything involved goes from A to Z in how well we keep it clean. It's just the way we feel it should be done. We don't really feel like we're doing anything magical. We're just trying to keep it very clean, full of nutrients, and picked right at the harvest or harvested at the time of perfection.
And I guess customers have been kind of recognizing that. Has you seen business grow?
Oh, definitely. In the last 10 days, 14 days, we've seen a lot of traffic here at our farm store that's on our property. People can come and shop here. But mainly on our farm to porch delivery program, people are learning that they can get the best lettuce ever right to their house.
Yeah, I think you guys see 30% or so 30% more people.
As of now, and I expect it to be growing.
Yeah, growing, quite literally growing.
Yes.
What you know, this method here, it's interesting because if you look, it's not grown in the dirt, it's grown hydroponically. It's grown
water, right?
In the water. So what makes this method less of a risk for problems such as cyclospora?
Right. To keep it ultimately very safe is we grow indoors. So we don't have any rainwater. We don't have pollution being pulled out of the sky with the rain, not even any bird droppings or anything. So we've got that covered. We also do not use any herbicides and pesticides and no type of sprays. So the great thing about that is when you get it home, you can literally just take it right out of the bag and eat it. No rinsing or washing. You're not rinsing anything off because there's just nothing there to rinse off.
Absolutely, nothing to rinse off, and it's all grown in water. It's all controlled, huh?
Here's the water comes out here, and underneath here is a stream of water, and they're taking up the nutrients from the bottom, and then it goes all the way through to the back tube that runs to the back of the greenhouse, and it's consistently rotated all throughout and recycled in the greenhouse. So we actually use about 30% of the water that traditional crops use.
Wow. And this romaine, having this romaine here.
Oh gosh, this will be picked Monday.
Monday,
yes.
Wow.
We'll pick at least 4 to 5 sections of this just for our Monday deliveries.
So, where can people find you, and what are your hours?
Yes, so we're up here in Cumming, real close to Georgia 400, and we are open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our farm store right adjacent to the greenhouse, and then we're also open on Saturday from 9 to 12. But the majority of our business is the home delivery program, which you can go online to circlealettuce.com and check out if we deliver to your zip code, which we'll be adding a few more in the next few days.
Yeah, they're adding a few more just to meet that that demand, that surge in demand that they have that they've been having lately. Again, you know, another source of local for lettuce, as we hear all about this this lettuce cyclospora outbreak. I was just checking, actually, CDC saying there have been about 4,100 or so lab-confirmed cases in the U.S. And some of those here in Georgia.
I can understand why people want to shop local, Chris. This is lovely to see. Those lettuces and romaine look so good, and I love learning how they grow it too in the greenhouse. Fascinating. Bring us back some lettuce. Chris Rosenthal, thank you. We'll see you again here upcoming at 3 o'clock. You guys, let's talk about the latest with Nancy Guthrie, because we're learning more information from the FBI. Really frustrating information, because FBI Director Kash Patel is now saying that a 4-day delay by Pima County authorities in requesting federal help likely cost investigators critical video and physical evidence. Basically, we know in the beginning, when all of this was happening, the Pima County Sheriff's Office did not request the FBI to come in to help at first, and ultimately this is causing the FBI to believe that this may have cost crucial video evidence because of the elaborate process involved in recovering Nest doorbell footage from the crime scene when the victim did not have a cloud subscription and her physical camera was missing as well. Guthrie, as we all know, is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, and she was taken from her home in Arizona on February 1st. Ultimately, the FBI worked with Google to recover cached video from Guthrie's Nest camera that was not intended for long-term storage and was on the verge of deletion. If there was more, it was lost before the FBI became involved, and its evidentiary value is unknown. Savannah Guthrie and her mother, Savannah, has pleaded for people to come forward with any information on her mother's disappearance. And in the meantime, the FBI says that we're looking for all of the needles and all of the haystacks because the data was just simply not recorded. But there was a chance that it was located in the cache before being deleted. That's where investigators had found the original video that Patel made public on February 10th in hopes that someone would recognize that man on your screen you just saw and turn him in. A short time later, FBI agents were able to generate a rough physical description from that video, and ultimately they are hoping that they can find more clues to figure out where Nancy Guthrie is. In the meantime, let's talk about the latest regarding an autopsy in a Mississippi teenager's death. There has been an independent autopsy done of Nolan Wells, and ultimately the findings have listed that death as undetermined pending further investigation. Attorney Ben Crump joined Wells' family in the NCAA National Convention Center in Chicago to announce these findings, and Crump says the results did not rule out the possibility of foul play, as his family still searches for answers to the teen's death. It came after a July 4th celebration with friends on Horn Island. Take a listen.
Losing a child, it truly breaks your heart. It is a pain that is just, you can't measure it. Especially someone like Nolan, who brought so much joy and light and life to everyone. You don't find too many genuine people like him. So to lose that light at such a young age, under these circumstances has been absolutely difficult. Which is why we've gone this route. There's so many people out in the public asking all of these questions, but the only question that we have is what happened to our son. That is the only question. We have consistently been degraded by the public. There's been questions about our parenting, our GoFundMe, this, that, and other. I've been called a racist. I am a healthcare provider, and I take my job very seriously. I love everyone. And it's been difficult for us, but we are leaning into our faith, leaning into one another, also leaning into all of you.
Let me try to be very comprehensive. As Dr. Roger Mitchell said, that the focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region, is significant because he cannot determine why you have that red discoloration in the back of his brain. That's significant. He also talked about, Mr. Williams, if you could, just the fact that as it's common practice, he was missing his throat when they received the body. And he wants to know why they held it back. He's not drawing any conclusions, but he said he would want to examine it if there were neck fractures or compressions to the neck. And he thinks that's significant to know at autopsy. The reason he said he would hold it back when he was medical examiner because he thought that there may have been some issues with neck fractures. The last thing that is significant is what we said before about him, the condition of his body when he went into the water. Was he conscious or unconscious? Was he forced or unforced into the water?
Now, ultimately, Wells' body was found floating off of Horn Island 2 days after that holiday boat trip. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office conducted their own autopsy, but those results have not yet been released. We will let you know as soon as they do. Let's talk about a breach from Chick-fil-A. Ultimately, Chick-fil-A says that a cyber attack may have exposed customers' data. The company says it recently identified a suspicious login activity to certain Chick-fil-A One accounts. Chick-fil-A says customers' personal information may have been accessed, including names, email addresses, the last 4 digits of their credit card numbers. The company says it took immediate action, including forcing logouts of affected accounts and removing stored payment methods. Chick-fil-A says that you should change your password as soon as possible if you have an account. Let's talk about this crazy story because I saw this and I was like, oh my goodness, is the age of the robot upon us? We have seen that some A models do go rogue, but OpenAI is now saying this is a, quote, unprecedented cyber incident. In a statement Tuesday, ChatGPT maker OpenAI said some of its most capable AI models were responsible for a cyber attack that targeted an AI startup company, Hugging Face. Hugging Face said it detected the intrusion into its data processing systems last week and suspected the breach was caused by an AI agent acting on its own. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman confirmed that the company's models were involved this week, saying on social media, quote, "We had a significant security incident during evaluation of our models." End quote. The company says its models used stolen credentials and discovered a previously unknown vulnerability to access Hugging Face's servers, and the rogue breach comes amid heightened concerns about the capabilities of powerful AI models. Concerns that led President Trump to sign an executive order last month creating a framework for the federal government to vet the national security risks of the most advanced systems prior to public release. Hugging Face says it doesn't suspect OpenAI of any bad intent, adding it's, quote, mind-blowing that all of this happened autonomously. Is this just the beginning? I believe so. All right. Coming up next, we are going to talk about Adoption Week for pets. It is National Adoption Week, and our Maria Guzman is going to join us live from a place where you can get involved. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here on your Thursday afternoon. Let's talk about how you can help give some pets some great homes or connect them to resources. Our Maria Guzman joining us live from Johns Creek. And I understand that, Maria, you're at the PetSmart there. How can we help?
Hey Ariel, I think I have the best assignment today because I've been hanging out with cute dogs and cats and here at this PetSmart. It's so important because this week it's PetSmart Charities Adoption Week. So you're able to go to your local PetSmart and adopt a furry friend. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my camera to show you guys our special guest here. I have Carrie here with PetSmart and Deanna as well, and we have some cute furry friends. So first question is going to be with Carrie. Carrie's going to talk about PetSmart Charities Week and Adoption Week. Why is it so important for you guys to have a week like this dedicated for adoption?
Yeah, so 3 times a year we have National Adoption Week. So this week until Sunday we're celebrating National Adoption Week, and what we hope to see is about 27,000 adoptions that'll happen in PetSmart stores across the country, and this is really important for our partners and their life-saving mission of connecting people with pets.
I know you guys often, as you were mentioning, people often adopt cats, but this year there's a focus for dogs. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so this year, in addition to National Adoption Week, we also have Adopt Joy events, which is going to be August 22nd is the next one in store, and that really focuses on dogs because we know that dogs are staying in shelters for much longer than they used to, and so we are putting special effort into helping our partners get those dogs out and into stores.
Awesome. And you guys are working very closely with Fur Kids here in Georgia. So just tell me a little bit about the partnership and the role that you guys are playing.
Well, I'll introduce you first to Orion, who's a little 3-month-old kitten that actually within a minute of me getting here to PetSmart with him, he got adopted. So that's just one huge reason why Fur Kids loves this partnership that we have with PetSmart Charities. We have 8 of these adoption centers inside PetSmarts across the metro Atlanta area, and we are doing over 1,300 adoptions annually out here. So it's great work that we're doing. great kittens that we have and great adoptable animals. So you can come check us out at furkids.org and go to furkids.org/events for all of our upcoming adoption events this weekend for National Adoption Week here at PetSmart.
Awesome. And then just last question, just tell me a little bit about the event that's happening this Saturday in Johns Creek.
So this Saturday here at the PetSmart in Johns Creek, we are doing a big adoption event with adoptable cats and kittens from 12 to 3 p.m. Come on out. There will be freebies given out. Cute kittens. Not this one because he was adopted, but we'll have a ton of other great cats and kittens available for adoption here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. To stay with us, I'll be here for the 3 o'clock hour as well.
Maria, I agree. You do have the best assignment. How wonderful that that kitty has already been adopted. Lots of great pets to go to wonderful homes. Maria Guzman, thanks so much. And thank you guys for being here with us live at 2 o'clock. I am Ariel Onstadt, and Tom Haynes is on his way over to join you for 3.
Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So happy you're here this afternoon. I'm Tom Haynes with you here for the next hour, running through all the day's headlines making news today. And we begin with a developing situation out of Henry County this afternoon, where Stockbridge police are investigating a Wednesday afternoon shooting on Lakeview Place that left a 14-year-old boy dead and a 12-year-old girl in the hospital. This is a story we've been following all afternoon long. Tara Jabor live on the scene with what we know right now, Tara, about the investigation.
Well, Tom, that shooting that you just mentioned, it happened here at this home behind me along Lakeview Drive here in Stockbridge. Now, we know that a 14-year-old boy is dead and a 12-year-old girl is in the hospital. But police really haven't released a lot of information about what exactly led up to this shooting. We do know that it did happen yesterday, just before 3:30, and police say that they want the community to keep the victims in their thoughts and give police time and space to figure out what exactly happened. Now, when I got here at around 10:30 this morning, I did see police still at this home. The front door of the home was missing, and the few police officers that were here, it seemed like they were looking for some evidence here in the grass in the front yard and then also behind the house. Now, we also spoke with some neighbors who live here this afternoon. I spoke to a man who told us that he's lived here for almost 30 years, and he says that there's never been this type of violence so close to his home. Let's take a listen on what he told us.
Father is terrible. It's in news. There are no parents, no brother, no sister, no uncle. It's something that no one should be happy to hear such terrible incident. Our hearts, our prayers and condolences to the family.
Now, of course, everyone that we spoke to told us that this is a heartbreaking story. Obviously, that's how everyone feels when you hear that a 14-year-old is dead and a 12-year-old is in the hospital after a shooting. We're, of course, working to learn more information, but police say that this is still an active investigation and that it's ongoing. We don't have any information right now about a suspect or suspects. Tom?
Now, Tara, I always ask when situations like this happen in neighborhoods like the one you're standing in, if there's a history of any kind of violence in that particular neighborhood. It always seems that neighbors are shocked when they come out and hear about something like this. They say that, geez, I would never imagine something like this would happen in this neighborhood.
Yeah, Tom, that's exactly what the neighbor told us. You know, he said that he built his house here. He lives just a few houses down, and that he's been here for 30 years, and he's never seen as many police officers that he saw here yesterday afternoon when this shooting happened. So all the people that we spoke to, we even spoke to some neighbors off camera. They told us that this is very unusual for this area. We've, of course, been here all day, and it's been very quiet.
And real quick before you go, and you might have touched on it or perhaps you don't know, but the condition of that 12-year-old in the hospital, just bring us up to date once again, if you will, on the condition of that child.
Yeah, we just know right now that 12-year-old, it's a girl, and that she is still in the hospital, of course, still being treated for those injuries. Police say that she was shot.
Your heart goes out to that family. Children should never be in the line of fire. Tara Jabbour there in the neighborhood where it all happened with the latest on the investigation for us this afternoon. Tara, thanks so much. Also in the news here for the 3 p.m. streaming hour, we want to talk to you about Atlanta police urging calmer heads to prevail, if you will, after an argument escalated into a quadruple shooting Wednesday afternoon. You might have heard about this on some of our social media platforms or on fox5atlanta.com if you happen to be perusing our website. But officers responded to a food mart on Joseph E. Lowery Boulevard just before 4 p.m. Investigators say that an ongoing dispute between people who knew each other erupted into gunfire both inside and outside the business. 4 men, ranging in age from 30 to 60, were injured. Paramedics rushed 2 victims to Grady Memorial Hospital, while 2 others drove themselves to Emory Midtown. All 4 victims are currently listed in stable condition this afternoon. Detectives are now reviewing surveillance video to identify the gunmen and determine if multiple shooters were involved here. Police stress this was an isolated incident and are urging anyone with information to come forward. A 62-year-old retired veteran in critical condition after police say that he was brutally beaten inside a Paulding County rental home. Deputies arrested Taylor Trueblood on aggravated battery charges early Tuesday morning after he knocked on a neighbor's door covered in blood. Investigators say Trueblood used fists and household furniture to attack his housemate inside an Oakland Point neighborhood residence. The victim, a U.S. Army veteran who's lived at the pad split home property for nearly a year, suffered fractured skull and brain bleeding. Other roommates tried to intervene and called 911 during the attack. Neighbors report that all remaining tenants have since moved out, leaving the home vacant as the investigation continues.
My wife and I opened the door. He said that he had to kill someone that he was sharing a house with. My wife said, "We need to call the police." Then he said, "Please call the police."
Well, deputies say Trueblood currently is being held on aggravated battery charges, and additional charges could be coming as the investigation continues. Well, police in Sandy Springs are investigating an on-board gun discharge that left 2 MARTA bus riders hospitalized late Wednesday night. Investigators say that a man's gun accidentally discharged on Route 5. This is the bus near Roswell Road and Glen Ridge Road just after 11:15 p.m. The single bullet passed through the gunman's arm, and then struck a female passenger in the knee. The suspect fled the scene on foot, but officers tracked a blood trail to a nearby parking lot and then took him into custody. Both the suspect and the female passenger were transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. MARTA police say that the suspect faces aggravated assault and reckless conduct charges upon his release from the hospital. 5 other passengers and the driver were on board at the time, but no other injuries were reported. Atlanta's top 10 most wanted murder suspect is behind bars this afternoon after spending nearly 5 years on the run. Federal agents and local SWAT team arrested Darius Williams Tuesday in Athens, Clark County. Investigators say that Williams was wanted in connection to an October 2021 fatal shooting on Niskey Lane Road in southwest Atlanta. Officers found a 33-year-old man shot to death inside a car in the middle of the roadway. Inside the home where Williams was captured, homicide detectives discovered multiple driver's licenses from different states under various names. Police say that the suspect had been using those fake identities to evade law enforcement. Authorities have not yet released a motive for that fatal shooting. Well, we have new developments. They are continuing to come in the case against Appalachia High School shooting suspect Colt Gray. Kevin Stewart joins us now here on set with the latest developments. You've been digging into this trial, which has a whole lot of people's attention, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Of course, it's something that we all experienced together when it happens. What is next for Colt Gray and his trial?
Well, Colt Gray is going to be in court in Barrow County and Winder tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. He his attorneys have put in paperwork filing for a non-negotiated plea deal, which bottom line means he is going to plead guilty, at least put that before the judge. And it also means that the district attorney has not agreed, the defense and the district attorney have not agreed to a certain penalty. That's going to be left up to the judge to do that sentencing. It's hard to believe. We're talking, it's been almost exactly 2 years ago. This was an incredible day. I remember being up there that day. This was just a couple of weeks after the school session had started when this happened, and 2 people, teachers, I should say, and 2 students were killed. I believe 9 people who were injured that day. And you'll remember his dad, Colin Gray, has been convicted for his role in providing the gun to Colt, and people who were in that jury watched Gray with the gun walk through the hallways of Appalachia High School and gun down these people. And so, considering that his dad went first, this really was a difficult uphill battle the entire time. He's had several defense attorneys, and his latest attorney has now worked out a deal with the district attorney's office to plead guilty. But of course, it's going to be up to the judge to do the sentencing. We had a chance to talk to a legal analyst earlier today on Fox Atlanta stream. Elise Edie talked to a legal expert, and I want you to listen to what he had to say.
Like we're having a little bit of trouble with that soundbite, but the legal analysis as to how this case moves forward, okay? Because you mentioned that they haven't talked about the penalty phase of this case. I am imagining something that legal expert might have touched on, that this is all a negotiation between the defense and prosecutors. What kind of deal can they come up with? I presume that's sort of part of the next steps of this trial.
Well, usually when you see something like this, you have a very stiff penalty, and obviously with a murder, multiple murders, and dealing with child cruelty because there were children involved, you would think the death penalty was on the table, but keep in mind, Colt Gray was 14 at the time, so he can't get the death penalty in Georgia. So basically, we're looking at a situation where the penalty is either going to be life with or life without. And considering that he is now 16, that's where I think you're going to have the debate. And that's where during the victim statements You're going to have
impact statements. Yeah,
you're going to have really emotional stuff, and that's going to weigh heavy on the judge on what he ends up doing, and that's sort of what our legal analyst was talking about, and that's going to be quite lengthy.
You know, this case, this shooting impacted so many families, both, of course, of the deceased and those who were traumatized by this event or even injured inside the school that day. And, you know, since I have you here, which I don't very often, you're usually out in the field, but you're here with us in house, and you were up covering, and I remember quite clear your coverage that day because you and I were on the air together for so many hours in the aftermath of this shooting. I would love for you to sort of contextualize where you were standing on that day, and we're watching video there on the right-hand side of the screen, and chances are you were standing right on that property where our helicopter was over, and now sort of reaching this point in this investigation.
You know, one of the interesting things, I think, you know, when you do this long enough, the legal system tends to be pretty lengthy. This really did move pretty quickly. You know, that's pretty impressive, and I think that is really important when especially when you talk about the two trials together. That's got to be great for the community. I know the families in the community were tired of us after a while, and it gave them a chance to breathe. And now this is coming right back up. During his dad's trial, Colin Gray's trial, the family members did not speak to the media, and you know, we respected that.
Sure, of course.
And that's why this is going to be really interesting tomorrow, because this is going to be the first time these families have spoken since. I don't think there were too many families that even spoke when not long after this happened. I don't recall. I apologize if I don't remember if everybody had spoken, but I don't remember too many families speaking. And so this is going to be the chance for not just the judge, but the whole community,
to come out and
to really hear what these families have been dealing with, and impart that on the judge to make a firm call on what should happen to Colt Gray.
Just so we can contextualize a little bit, we do have the sound from that attorney this morning who's going to put a lot of this into perspective.
Well, the actual change in plea is the defendant's own choice. Even though he's 14, obviously this is going to affect him for the rest of his life. This case doesn't disappear or lose attachment to him ever. It is going to be the defining issue for his entire existence. And his entire existence is really the big question that the court is going to be dealing with tomorrow. Changing the plea was required by the judge if Mr. Gray wanted to plead guilty. He was required by the court to enter that guilty plea prior to the preparation of the trial itself, which was coming up relatively soon. So Mr. Gray indicated through his lawyers that he wanted to change his plea and proceed with this non-negotiated process where he is going to plead guilty, and then the non-negotiated portion will be related to the sentencing involved on those 55 charges. Please remember that these are the most serious charges anybody faces in our criminal justice system, with many of them requiring a life sentence. Since that's obviously the big issue on the table, I expect to see extensive discussion about mitigation issues and what the future of teen sentences, including life without parole, looks like here in the state of Georgia.
Very interesting.
You know, solid analysis there. He's been at this for a long time. He's been a really well-known analyst for us here for some time, and he really gave some good perspective there about what to expect, and should be very interesting tomorrow.
It's crazy. You know, you're looking at Colt Gray sitting there in the courtroom. You just can't wrap your arms around how somebody could carry out something like this, but that is what he is accused of, and the particulars of this trial playing out before our very eyes, and we're going to see how this all continues to unfold this week. Kevin Stewart, Kevin, thanks so much for being with us this afternoon. Okay, want to talk about the president in Georgia here yesterday, President Trump in Cobb County, visiting students to talk about his Trump Accounts program at Wheeler High School. Speaking to a crowd about 3,000 people, the president touted the Child Investment Initiative and criticized political opponents. During the hour-and-a-half address, he also pressed Senate lawmakers to pass his signature election bill, the Save America Act. Republican gubernatorial nominee Rick Jackson was up on stage with the president, said that if he were elected, Georgia would match the initial $1,000 contribution for newborns. Outside the school, a couple hundred protesters gathered, arguing a public high school was an inappropriate venue for a campaign-style event. The president also recognized the family of First Lieutenant Tyler Feehan, a soldier with Georgia ties, who was killed in the Middle East last week. The House narrowly approving legislation that would prevent members of Congress from buying individual stocks while in office. While it limits lawmakers from buying and selling stocks, the measure would still allow them to keep the ones that they've already purchased. It also exempts the president and vice president. Take a listen to what some lawmakers are saying.
The stock trading ban in Congress is about a 96% public opinion issue. They've got to go home and answer for why they're against that. And voter ID is a 90-10 issue as well. So good luck. Good luck answer for that.
And what are your expectations? It's like Velveeta to real Wisconsin cheese. It's been said this bill has loopholes so big a Qatari jet could go through them. It still allows members to hold stock. It still allows members to buy stock with dividends. It's still...
This particular bill is not really a stock trading bill. It's a voter suppression bill, and that's why most Democrats voted against it.
Does it give you any solace?
I just wish it had been a straight up or down vote on the bill, and that we voted on that and didn't have voter ID attached to it, which now makes it a partisan exercise.
Democrats also largely opposed the legislation after GOP leaders added an unrelated provision requiring voter ID at the polls. That's a key element of the SAVE Act, a measure backed by President Trump that continues to stall in the Senate. The stock trading bill now heads to the Senate, but it's not clear when or if lawmakers are going to take that up. The White House says that Iran is begging for a deal at this point, following a 12th consecutive night of U.S. strikes on that country. However, new attacks by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels at the Red Sea are threatening to further escalate the conflict. The president warning the Houthis to stand down or Iran will face major military punishment. The renewed attacks on the Red Sea have drawn global oil prices back over the $100 a barrel mark. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, the House narrowly passed a war powers resolution to halt military action with Iran, with 4 Republicans joining Democrats on that vote. Meanwhile, the Senate rejected a similar legislative move this afternoon on a 47-49 vote. Well, the president's also talking about a major shift in its new U.S. Nuclear policy initiatives in the Middle East, as the Trump administration approves a deal that could allow Saudi Arabia to enrich its own uranium, a capability the U.S. has long fought to keep out of Iran's hands. This would supposedly allow the kingdom to pursue a civilian nuclear program. That means energy. The Wall Street Journal first reporting the deal, which lasts for about 30 years and could involve American companies. The White House press secretary speaking out on this afternoon.
The United States is not opposed to civil nuclear facilities, as we all know. Look, this is a condition that the president has spoken about many times with our Gulf and Arab allies. He wants to see these countries sign the Abraham Accord. It was one of the most historic accomplishments of his first term, and it continues to be a long-term goal of his to expand those accords to ultimately come to a place where the Middle East can be a peaceful and stable region. And yes, this deal with Saudi Arabia, the energy deal, is contingent on this condition as far as the president is concerned. So we'll continue to talk with our Saudi counterparts to get the deal finalized and hopefully see them joining the Abraham Accords very soon. Well, look, the president is always the final deal maker, as you know, and this is something that he has mentioned on numerous occasions going back. I can provide you with those statements, and he has said if they don't join the Abraham Accords, the deal is off. So we'll continue to have those conversations with our Saudi counterparts moving forward.
Now, the deal's likely going to have to go through congressional approval, where some lawmakers are concerned. They say that the U.S. is throwing a match on an already unstable situation, but the administration is defending this deal. The Saudi Crown Prince has been clear that if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, his country will pursue one as well. Ex-Barclays boss Jess Stanley is on Capitol Hill, the latest to answer questions about his involvement or allegations of or ties to Jeffrey Epstein. The meeting comes after Staley lost a legal challenge to ban him from holding senior financial roles in the United Kingdom for misleading them over the nature of his relationship with Epstein. Staley's lawyers contended that he, quote, never attempted to conceal his relationship with Epstein, a claim dismissed by a 3-person tribunal in London. Staley admitted to having a close personal and professional relationship with Epstein, but insists they were not personally very close. In the past, he had acted as a private banker to Epstein during his time with J.P. Morgan Chase. Meanwhile, a former model scout linked to Epstein has been found dead in his home in Paris. Daniel Said was facing an investigation from Paris prosecutors for accusations of rape and organized human trafficking. Women came forward after his name appeared in nearly 2,000 times in the Epstein files released by the Justice Department. An autopsy report has not yet been issued to confirm his cause of death. As we continue on this busy afternoon of news today, we're going to get a check of our forecast. It is another hot and humid day. A little bit more rain out there today. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson is going to talk about whether this rain will continue toward the end of the work week as we continue. All right, time to talk about our weather, joined by meteorologist Lauren Robinson, who's been tracking the heat, Lauren, really all week long. And now I feel like it's a little more humid out there and some rain outside as well.
Yeah, the rain is very isolated, very hit or miss all afternoon while we were waiting on the actual kind of spotty rain showers to push through. Maybe you've seen like a couple of raindrops on your windshield, that kind of thing. But they have finally started to move their way southward. During the morning, they were kind of halted behind a stalled front. So most of the storms were north of Georgia. But in the last couple of hours, they finally started to move their way southward a bit. But first, let's start with Drought Monitor because it's Thursday. That means we have our drought monitor, and it has gotten a little better in the last week. Each category has gotten better, including our areas with no drought at all. That went from 14 to 18%, and we've already been done with the exceptional and extreme levels in Georgia. That's already been out of our hair, but even our severe levels are getting smaller. Our moderate levels are getting smaller, which means the orange and tans getting smaller, yellow getting bigger, which is good, and then that gray at the bottom is continuing to get bigger, which means no drought. So we're continuing to improve, which is always good news whenever you're kind of in a rainy, gloomy day like today and tomorrow, then you can at least look forward to the drought monitor to say all of that raininess was for a good reason. But outside of that, temperatures a tad bit below average. We're at 88 degrees in downtown Atlanta. We might get a degree or two warmer, which would make us closer to average, but at this point in the day, we're likely going to stay in the upper 80s. Areas off to the east have been able to see the 90s, though. 91 degrees in Covington and Eatonton, and we have a 90 down in LaGrange, 88 in downtown Atlanta. Same goes for Rome and in Griffin. But those winds coming in from the southwest, that's ushering in more Gulf moisture. So what that means for us is that heat and humidity will continue to move in. So once you factor in the humidity, it feels like the triple digits off to the east. It feels like 102 in Covington, 100 in Eatonton, nearly triple digits even in Athens. It feels like 95 in downtown Atlanta. So don't let those 80s fool you. It's still pretty humid, which makes it feel very hot out there if you have those outdoor plans. Now we move over to our live Viper radar. Bertha pushing its way through the Texas coast there. That's not directly affecting us. What has been affecting us in North Georgia is that stalled front. If you've been paying attention or noticing over the last few days, that same front has really been in the same area for a few days, and is going to continue to just kind of hang out even as we move through the first half of the weekend. And that's what's bringing in more of kind of a clogged up weather system. We're kind of continuing to see the same things over and over: the gloomy skies, the 80s, the humidity, the very hit or miss showers and storms. So that's what we're seeing now. The storms have started to push their way southward along the I-20 corridor, but not very many have made it south of I-20. Even as we zoom into Metro Atlanta, you can see these showers are just kind of peppered about. They're very isolated. Anything that pops up overhead is not looking to be very long lasting, not very impactful, maybe just a couple of raindrops, a quick little downpour, but that's about it. And I think that's the extent of what we'll see today. Tomorrow, I think, will be the heavier rain day. Now take a look at this front that's just hanging out across North Georgia. It's been there already for the last couple of days. We go through the day into tomorrow, it's still here. And we go into our Saturday, it's still here.
It's like bad company that refuses to leave, right?
Yes.
It's like, go home.
That's exactly it. Thankfully, by the next work week, I think company has maybe work to go to because it'll finally start to leave as we move through our Sunday. So that's the good news there. The not so good news is while it sticks around these next couple of days, we're going to continue to hold on to these shower and storm chances. Our temperatures will go up and down a bit depending on where the front is, though. If we're south of the front, we're going to be hotter. If that front drips southward a bit and if we're north of it, then we're going to be a bit cooler. That's why our temperatures will drop a little bit on Friday and Saturday, because that front is projected to swing a bit lower as we start our weekend. Now, this line, this area of flood watch, this green, if I were to zoom out, it would have a diagonal line where that front is. And that's because these flood watches are strategically placed along the frontal boundaries where we've been seeing more consistent rainfall. So that's where we're going to watch for more flooding opportunities. This will be through tomorrow evening. These areas in green could see a couple inches of rainfall, maybe some isolated flooding as we go through the next day or so. So we take a look at these temperatures, and you'll notice as the rain showers increase, the temperatures decrease. That's because that's where we're looking for that frontal boundary to continue to push upwards and down. But as we go through Sunday, that front looks like it'll finally lift up. And as it does, we're going to get back to that summertime heat and humidity. So remember, next week when we're seeing those 93s, 94s, 95s, it's going to feel like 99s out there once you factor in the humidity, maybe even triple digits in some places. But we'll get through these showers and storms tomorrow before we start to worry about the heat next week.
So as you've been talking, you know, we always monitor our chats. People on our social media platforms, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, got a lot of people watching, and they want, so the question is, all right, one of two, is fall near? After you just talked about 5 days of 90-degree weather.
Well, the start of meteorological fall is October 1, so we can count on that. But I'm sure the question is asking, when are we getting rid of this heat?
Yes.
Probably the basis.
Because yet another comment, please give us cool, sunny days, all right?
Well, cool, sunny is really
it's a tall order for you.
It's a tall order, and that's really part of that spring and fall game plan. Summer and winter, not so much.
But I guess maybe the overarching question is, when do you kind of feel a little bit of a break in the temperatures when you get up in the morning and it's a little bit cooler, a little bit drier?
Yeah.
Not for a little bit, right?
Not for a little bit, especially because, you know, we are still in July. So it's patience. It's a game of patience because we're really seeing temperatures where July is supposed to be in the south.
I kind of feel like we're on the other side of summer, though.
Yeah,
we're on the down.
We're going down. We're on the same
good.
page there. Yeah, so things will continue to slowly get cooler and cooler. But mind you, for the end of July, our typical high where we should be is 90 degrees. So over the next few days, temperatures dropping into the 80s.
A little break from that.
We are getting a little bit of a break. We're a little bit below average, and then we're going to rebound as we push into next week. So we're roughly 5 degrees of our average of our normal on either side of it as we go through the next 7 days. So, you know, while I'll put it this way, while you might be sick of the heat and humidity and ready for cooler weather, you want to make temperatures near average are a good indicator. So you want to make sure your temperatures
because we've had some really hot summers where it's like 90 degrees and you're dying, you know?
So we've had really hot summers, but it would also be alarming if we were having a really cool summer as well. So you never really want your
Why would that be alarming? Because it would mean something's off in the atmosphere? Or
because the atmosphere is always going to find a way to balance itself out.
Okay.
The weather is a big balancing act. So when something is off in one area, something is off in another area, and usually, you know, weather will circle the globe essentially, and so it'll balance itself out.
One more on the Lauren Robinson quiz show.
All right.
Any wind?
I like it.
Any wind to provide us some relief over the next few days?
Yeah, nice breeze.
We like a breezy day out there,
do like a
especially when it's so hot.
It gives you the Beyonce effect. Yeah.
If it's coming at the right direction.
Unless it's going backwards, then you
more
want
than
nothing.
me.
Yeah. So today, a little breezy during the afternoon, maybe up to around 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, not looking to be too breezy. Really, the only wind gust you might get tomorrow will be if you're under or near a storm.
Okay.
So that'll be that. But we haven't had too much relief in the form of a breeze.
I know.
Today, a little bit, but still south of 20 miles per hour. So if you're lucky, you can catch a breeze. But all in all, I think if you are going to see a breeze, it's likely because you're underneath or near an approaching
Feels
storm.
so good when there is one.
Yeah, it's great.
Lauren, thanks so much. Thanks for answering all those questions, too. Want to talk about something that's going on in the Georgia film industry in the form of 2 Southwest Georgia men who are facing decades in federal prison after admitting to a $550,000 film tax fraud scheme. Federal prosecutors say that Ryan Rugg and Joshua Jordan of Tifton stole the identities of 18 Georgia residents to file 22 fraudulent tax returns in New York. Investigators say the pair falsely claimed New York film and television production tax credits for work that never actually even happened. In one instance, Jordan even called New York's tax officials, pretending to be one of the victims, pocketing nearly $50,000 from that single filing. New York State tax investigators flagged the suspicious returns before uncovering the broader scheme with the FBI. Jordan admitted to wire fraud, conspiracy, and aggravated identity theft, while Rugg pleaded guilty to wire fraud conspiracy. Both men scheduled to be sentenced by a federal judge in Albany later this month. When we come back, you know, this huge lettuce recall and the outbreak has families turning to local growers to purvey their lettuces so that they don't risk any chance of getting this horrible virus that's going around. We're going to talk about that with our Chris Rosenthal when we come back. Hey everybody, welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines with you live here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Appreciate you streaming with us. If you're on your mobile device on our free Fox Local app, we're glad you're here this afternoon. If you're at home watching on your TV on one of your live channels, happy you're with us as well. Or if you're one of the many on one of our social media platforms on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, watching along the stream, we're glad you're here too. We appreciate your questions, some of which we just talked about with meteorologist Lauren Robinson. Or if you are out and about on the roadways this afternoon, listening to us on the radio, 107.9 HD2 FM, we're certainly glad you're with us today. I want to talk about that recalled lettuce outbreak that has families pivoting. And they're like, we don't want to take the risk. We want to know where our lettuce is coming from. So they're turning to local growers, and one North Georgia farm is seeing sales soar. So let's get out to our Chris Rosenthal live and coming with how Circle A Farms is keeping up with the demand. Looks like you got a lot of lettuce behind you, Chris.
Oh, this is only a small part of it. This is actually kale here around me, but they've got, I'll just give you a look around. I mean, this is only one of their greenhouses. They have several of these full of a wide variety of lettuces. They've got kale, they've got romaine, they've got spring lettuce, all kinds of different lettuce here. And I'll tell you, they've been in business here for 14 years, and here at Circle A Farms. And you know, businesses have their ups and downs, but lately they've had a big surge in business, about 30% surge in business. People coming, trying to find a local source of lettuce, and with this, of course, with this cyclospora outbreak going on. Hydroponically, so you don't see any dirt here. It's all grown in the water. And I've got Cheryl Howland here. She is one of the co-owners here. And tell me, first of all, tell me about the surge in business that you guys have had in the past few weeks.
Yes, in the last 12 to 14 days, we've seen about a 30% increase at this point, but we expect it to climb a little bit more because people are getting a taste of local and seeing that it's so much better and so much more nutritious that we've already had repeat customers come back.
Yeah, and are they expressing, you know, concerns about this this outbreak? And
definitely, especially the elderly. I mean, those are symptoms and conditions nobody would be interested in having, and we hate that an outbreak like this comes out, but we can learn more and more from it. I've been reading a lot from the CDC about what's going on and trying to keep our lettuce as safe as we can, but hydroponically grown lettuces are known to be very safe overall because of the enclosed environment.
Yeah, let's talk about that, you know, hydroponic. I mean, what does that mean, and why does that make it, you know, less of a risk for some of these problems that we hear about?
Right. Well, because we don't grow in soil, we don't have any type of runoff from, say, pollution or irrigation or pesticides, herbicides, things that people put on their grass. So we don't use any herbicides or pesticides in here. We're over cover, so we protect it from the elements of rainwater, bird droppings, anything that might just come in contact with the lettuce normally outdoors, we eliminate that. So we've got about a 99% chance of making and growing the best lettuce that we can as clean as possible that won't cause any outbreaks.
And they kind of grow in these runoff, these water channels here, huh?
Right. So this is how the hydroponic system works briefly, this is a sprout. This is kale about 10 days old. This is the water source, and you'll see that there's the water that's coming out. This water 14 nutrients and minerals that are derived from natural sources, so it makes it very, very fortified with a lot of nutrition. And you can see here's a kale at about 2 weeks. I wanted to take one out to show you. These are the roots that typically would go back down in here. And the water is on a slant and the roots just spread out, and then they intake the nutrients and grow extremely healthy head of lettuce or kale or microgreens, whatever it may be.
You know, you guys have had such a big demand, and part of it is delivery. You guys are expanding, huh?
Right, correct. Yes, we have a farm-to-porch delivery program, and we deliver to areas all over the metropolitan area, and we're expanding now down more into Atlanta. But that's kind of been our hallmark. We love going straight to the consumer, straight to putting healthy, clean food on the family table. So CircleAlettuce.com can give you a lot more information about our delivery program. And tomorrow we'll be making some big announcements as well on the expanded areas.
Gotcha.
But you can also come to our farm store, which is located on our property in Cumming. And shop for not only our greens, but also some other local finds that you would maybe find at a farmer's market.
Okay. And what days can people come here? What are the days and hours?
We're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, and then on Saturday from 9 to 12.
Gotcha. And
oh my gosh, people always say, oh, I don't like kale, it's terrible. And I said, until you've tried Circle A Farms kale, you really don't understand what kale should taste like. We grow this with 5 seeds in a hole, which is kind of our trademark, that we decided to grow it more seeds in one hole so we could get a baby kale, which makes it very tender. It's much more like a lettuce than it is a kale or a cruciferous vegetable. And the great thing about this is you put very little oil or vinegar on it to soften it up, because it's our
you know, I mean, it's a shame. Obviously, we have this outbreak, but I think it's introducing people to some new lettuces here and new ways to get it.
I've had good kale, like hydroponically grown like that, and I agree. It's like a totally different taste from what you get just in your run-of-the-mill grocery store. It's kind of sweet and buttery versus bitter and tough, like some of the kale that you can get off the shelf. So what a great resource for people who want fresh, hydroponically grown produce like the kind behind you. And so cool that the folks up and coming are actually doing that. Thanks to Cheryl from Circle A Farms up and coming. Chris, thank you. Your shot was kind of going in and out, but we got really the crux of what was happening up there to avoid this cyclosporiasis situation that's been traveling around, and ways to avoid it by buying local. Chris, thanks so much. I want to talk about something that we haven't talked about here in quite a while, and that is the Nancy Guthrie investigation. The FBI director says a 4-day delay by local authorities to involve federal agents likely cost investigators critical evidence in the abduction of Nancy Guthrie. Guthrie, of course, as you know, is the mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, was taken from her Tucson home back in February. The FBI Director Kash Patel says agents worked with Google to recover cache doorbell footage that was on the verge of being permanently deleted. Because Guthrie did not have a cloud subscription and her camera was missing, Patel says that waiting 4 days likely resulted in lost video that could have shown the suspect's vehicle or additional visits to the property. The Pima County Sheriff's Department has defended its handling of the case, saying that an FBI task force member was present in the initial stages. Rewards in the case are now totaling $1.2 million. An independent autopsy of Nolan Wells lists the Mississippi teenager's cause of death as undetermined right now, pending further investigation. Attorney Ben Crump joined Wells' family at the NAACP National Convention Center in Chicago to announce the findings. Crump says the results did not rule out the possibility of foul play, as his family still searches for answers into the teen's death after a July 4th celebration with friends on Horn Island.
Losing a child, it truly breaks your heart. It is a pain that is just, you can't measure it. Especially someone like Nolan, who brought so much joy and light and life to everyone. You don't find too many genuine people like him. So to lose that light at such a young age under these circumstances has been absolutely difficult. Which is why we've gone this route. There's so many people out in the public asking all of these questions, but the only question that we have is what happened to our son. That is the only question. We have consistently been degraded by the public. There's been questions about our parenting, our GoFundMe, this, that, and other. I've been called a racist. I am a healthcare provider, and I take my job very seriously. I love everyone. And it's been difficult for us, but we are leaning into our faith, leaning into one another, also leaning into all of you.
Let me try to be very comprehensive. As Dr. Roger Mitchell said, that the focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region, is significant because he cannot determine why you have that red discoloration in the back of his brain. That's significant. He also talked about, Mr. Williams, if you could, just the fact that as it's common practice, he was missing his throat when they received the body. And he wants to know why they held it back. He's not drawing any conclusions, but he said he would want to examine it if there were neck fractures or compressions to the neck. And he thinks that's significant to know at autopsy. The reason he says he would hold it back when he was medical examiner because he thought that there may have been some issues with neck fractures. The last thing that is significant is what we said before about him, the condition of his body when he went into the water. Was he conscious or unconscious? Was he forced or unforced into the water?
That's Ben Crump, the attorney for the Wells family. Wells' body was found floating off the island 2 days after the holiday boat trip, we understand. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office conducted their own autopsy, but those results have not been released yet, pending the investigation. When we come back, still got a lot more ahead. We're in Johns Creek at a local PetSmart hosting its National Adoption Week at stores all across Georgia. What a great event if you want to adopt a pet or if you just want to look at cute animals. Maria Guzman will join us live next. Hey everybody, welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So happy you're with us this afternoon. I'm Tom Haynes. Want to get out to our Maria Guzman, who's live in Johns Creek for us this afternoon at a local PetSmart. Hey, Maria, this is PetSmart's efforts to get the word out about National Adoption Week at stores. And this is happening not only up in Johns Creek, but at stores all over Georgia.
Yes, it's really exciting all over Georgia and nationwide. It began on Monday and it's going to continue all the way till Sunday. So, you know, Tom, I don't own a pet, but that might change this week because when you show up to a local PetSmart, you will be able to adopt the same day and leave with a pet right after. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my cameras because I have some special guests here. Have Carrie and also Deanna, and obviously a really cute Shih Tzu and a kitten that actually just got adopted today. So a lot of exciting news, but first, Carrie, I want to start with you. Why have a week dedicated to adoption and highlighting the rescues?
Yeah, so we know that in the United States there are still about 6 million pets that end up in shelters every single year, and so we're trying to do our part to highlight how fantastic those organizations are and the pets that they have available for adoption.
We were talking about how a lot of the times during this week cats get adopted, not so much of the dogs. Why is that, and what you guys are trying to do behind that?
Sure. So we know that in this summer, kitten season is at its peak, right? We see lots and lots of kittens born in the spring and summertime, and so we see lots of kittens available for adoption during that time. So we'll see loads of kittens, but also plenty of dogs too. Lots and lots of stores will have dogs available for adoption as well.
What's the big number you guys see nationwide regarding pets that need a home, that need to be adopted?
Yeah, so this week for National Adoption Week, we are hoping to adopt out 27,000 pets through PetSmart stores. And so that's a big, big number, but every year we're seeing more than 400,000 pets find homes with PetSmart.
And you know, Tom, it was super cool because the moment I walked in, Dina here told me that this kitten had just gotten adopted by a family. So Dina, tell me about the family that adopted this kitten and how excited they were.
So this is a true example of why Fur Kids absolutely loves our PetSmart Charities partnership. I had walked in with this little kitten, and a nice, lovely family was actually just shopping for litter for their current 2 cats. Saw him, picked him up, and said, "How do I take this kitten home?" So filled out the application, got him approved, and he is going to be going home with them in just a short while. So he only spent about 5 minutes total here, which is great.
You know, when someone's looking to adopt, just what are some of the things they should consider? You know, is that lifestyle? How active is the pet? Just some things that families that they should keep in mind if they do want to adopt.
Yeah, I mean, we are really looking for just loving homes. As long as you have a safe, loving home and you love animals yourself, I mean, we are really just looking for committed, dedicated pet parents, whether you're looking to adopt a cat or a dog. You know, we are just trying to place cats, homeless animals, homeless dogs into the best homes possible. So as long as you've got a safe, warm bed for them to sleep on and some hands to pet them and love them, that's all we're looking for.
I know you guys do a big reach across Georgia. Why partner with PetSmart and have a week like this from the nonprofit side of things?
Well, the great thing about PetSmart and the great example with Orion here, who got adopted in literally 5 minutes, is that this gives our homeless pets, homeless cats and dogs, more visibility. You know, when you're walking into a PetSmart, a lot of the times we're not even looking to adopt a pet. You see a cute little cat, cute little adoptable dog, and I mean, it just starts that wheel turning and wanting to imagine having a new pet in your home. And 9 times out of 10, you know, people that walk in looking to adopt, and we have these same-day adoption events, they end up leaving with an animal. So it's really great. Our PetSmarts treat us really nice too. PetSmart Charities is a great partnership that we have with Fur Kids, where we're adopting out over 1,000 animals annually just from our 8 PetSmart locations that we have across Metro Atlanta. So
awesome.
It's great.
And then just walk me through the event that's happening this Saturday right here. There's going to be an event from 12 to 3 p.m. So you guys have a chance to come here. I'll send things back to you.
Saturday, a great day to go out and adopt a pet. PetSmart doing such a good job bringing in the pets for families to see, and they just happen upon a pet that they think is so cute and that they want to bring home. What a great event, and in partnership with Fur Kids too, Maria, which I know you highlighted yesterday here on the stream. Such an amazing, amazing event. Maria, thanks so much. And thank you for joining us for the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Don't go anywhere, though. The news is going to continue right here, right now.